people care more about appearances than truth. Human beings are visual, emotional creatures who crave simplicity in a complex world. Most don't seek truth. They seek comfort, validation, and something beautiful to believe in. The truth is often raw, unsettling, and demanding. Appearances, on the other hand, are soothing illusions that promise order and meaning. This is why the polished liar is trusted more than the awkward truth-teller, and why a confident fraud can inspire more loyalty than an honest but uncertain man. From birth, we're conditioned to respond to appearances, faces, smiles, tone, confidence, symbols of status. Society rewards what looks right, not what is right. People hire charisma over competence, fall in love with potential instead of character, and vote for charm rather than integrity. Appearances are shortcuts to judgment, saving people from the exhausting work of thinking deeply. Those who master appearances hold power because they can shape how reality is perceived rather than how it is. This truth is brutal because it means integrity alone isn't enough. The truth doesn't speak for itself. It must be dressed, performed, and presented in a way that people want to accept. Those who understand this rule rise effortlessly, while those who cling to honesty alone often remain unheard. You can be right and still lose if your truth isn't beautiful enough to believe in. The world bows not to authenticity, but to illusion, delivered with confidence. People don't see the world as it is. They see it as it appears to them, and they obey the appearance. Loyalty lasts only as long as it benefits them. Loyalty is a currency, not a virtue. People spend it only when the exchange still profits them, emotionally, socially, or materially. The moment loyalty stops serving their interests, it dissolves into silence, excuses, or betrayal disguised as self-preservation. What most call faithfulness is simply aligned self-interest. When that alignment breaks, so does their devotion. Human beings are wired for survival, not nobility. When loyalty becomes a burden rather than a benefit, they rationalize their betrayal as necessity. Friends abandon friends to protect reputation. Employees switch sides for promotion. Lovers walk away when affection no longer validates their ego. This isn't cruelty, it's instinct. The need to protect one's advantage outweighs the desire to honor promises. People stay loyal as long as you provide something they value: status, protection, comfort, purpose. Remove that, and you'll see their true allegiance, themselves. Even the most heartfelt bond can fracture under pressure if there's no mutual gain left to justify it. That's why the powerful don't rely on loyalty. They create dependence. They make others need them more than they like them. This truth cuts deep because it strips away the romantic illusions of friendship and trust. It reveals that loyalty is not eternal, it's conditional. Once the benefit fades, so does the bond. Those who understand this stop expecting loyalty and start managing it, cultivating alliances that are transactional, not emotional. Power doesn't demand devotion. It ensures that betrayal costs more than obedience. The one who controls perception controls reality. Reality is not what is, it's what people believe it is. Perception shapes every decision, every emotion, every allegiance. The world runs not on truth, but on the stories people tell themselves about it. He who can shape those stories holds the strings of power. Control perception, and you don't need to control reality. People will obey the version you create for them. Humans crave certainty and clarity, even if it's false. They would rather live inside a convincing illusion than confront chaos. That's why propaganda triumphs over proof, why confidence silences logic, and why image always outweighs essence. The powerful understand this instinctively. They manufacture perceptions that flatter emotion and bury truth beneath narrative. A king doesn't need to be just. He only needs to appear divinely chosen. A leader doesn't need to be right. He only needs to sound certain. Perception is the invisible battlefield of influence. The crowd doesn't follow who's correct. They follow who's convincing. Master this and you can make lies feel like destiny. You can redefine failure as strategy, betrayal as necessity, and weakness as humility. The masses will protect the illusion you feed them, even against evidence. Those who neglect perception are ruled by those who master it. Every image, every word, every gesture becomes a weapon or a shield. The truth is powerless without belief, but belief can create truth. Control how people see, and you dictate how they think. Control how they think, and you own their reality. Morality is a luxury for those without power. Morality is the armor of the powerless, a code the strong pretend to honor, but quietly rewrite when it stands in their way. The weak cling to moral purity because it is their only weapon against those who can act without consequence. Power, however, bends morality until it fits convenience. The powerful are not constrained by what is right. They decide what becomes right. From kingdoms to corporations, morality shifts with whoever holds the throne. History praises conquerors as heroes, not murderers. Nations justify cruelty as justice, manipulation as diplomacy, and greed as progress. When you command the narrative, sin becomes strategy, and virtue becomes weakness. Power cleanses even the darkest actions once success validates them. The world doesn't ask how you won, only that you did. For those without power, morality is all they have left to preserve dignity. It comforts them, gives meaning to loss, and allows them to condemn what they can't control. But morality doesn't change outcomes. It only changes how the powerless explain them. The lion doesn't question whether it's fair to kill. It simply eats. This truth is brutal because it reveals that ethics are conditional, bound by circumstance, not principle. Power writes the rules, then convinces others they've always existed. The powerful wear morality like a mask, removing it when it hinders movement. The powerless cling to it because it's the only thing they can still claim as their own. In the hierarchy of survival, morality is optional, but power is not. Fear is more reliable than love. Love is fragile, built on emotion, fleeting, and easily poisoned by disappointment. Fear, however, endures. It does not depend on affection, memory, or gratitude. Love asks for loyalty. Fear demands it. Where love falters under pressure, fear tightens its grip. Those who rule through fear understand a truth the sentimental never do. Love makes people choose you, but fear makes them obey you. Love must be nourished constantly through kindness, presence, and validation. The moment it's neglected, it decays. Fear, on the other hand, feeds itself. It lingers in silence, in the threat of consequence, in the uncertainty of what defiance might bring. Love gives freedom, fear removes it. That's why kings, bosses, and tyrants throughout history have trusted fear over affection. It cannot be faked, and it rarely fades. Humans love conditionally, but fear universally. You can't force someone to love you, but you can make them fear losing what they value. Even those who claim to act out of love are often guided by the fear of losing it. Beneath every romantic gesture and loyal act lies a shadow, fear of rejection, fear of punishment, fear of insignificance. This truth burns because it strips away idealism. Love makes people unpredictable. Fear makes them consistent. A loved one might betray you to protect their heart, but a fearful one will obey to protect their skin. In the hierarchy of control, affection is soft currency, but fear is steel. Those who master fear never need to beg for loyalty. They command it. Never reveal your true intentions. The moment you expose your true intentions, you surrender your greatest weapon, mystery. Clarity makes you predictable, and predictability is death in the game of power. When people know what you want, they can manipulate, block, or destroy it. But when your motives are hidden behind layers of ambiguity, others can't attack what they can't define. Secrecy forces them to guess, and every wrong guess becomes your advantage. Humans fear uncertainty. When they can't read you, they They project their own assumptions onto your silence. Some will see a threat, others will see a friend. Either way, you control the story because you never correct it. Every great strategist, from ancient rulers to modern executives, understood this truth. Reveal only what serves your image and conceal everything that reveals your hand. Deception is not always lying. It's omission, timing, and selective truth. The clever reveal pieces of their plan like breadcrumbs, leading others exactly where they want them to look, while the real move unfolds unseen. By keeping your purpose hidden, you maintain leverage. You become untouchable because you are unreadable. This principle is not just defense, it's domination. When people can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. They waste energy trying to decipher your motives while you quietly maneuver into position. Secrets are oxygen to power. Transparency is poison. The world rewards mystery because mystery commands attention. To win, you must act with precision, but speak with shadows. Move openly, but think invisibly. Power is taken, not given. No one hands you power out of kindness. It is seized, demanded, or quietly stolen by those bold enough to claim it. Every privilege, position, and authority that exists was once wrestled from someone else's grasp. The illusion that power is granted is a lie told by the strong to keep the weak obedient. The truth is simple. Power is never offered freely. It is taken by those who refuse to wait for permission. People fear the audacity of those who act as if they deserve control, yet they almost always submit to them. Most would rather follow than fight. They trade their will for comfort and call it peace. This is why the assertive rise. The world unconsciously rewards dominance. Those who hesitate become tools in the hands of those who don't. Every system, political, social, or personal, is built on silent struggles where only the decisive prevail. Power respects force, not fairness. It moves toward confidence, strategy, and ruthless persistence. The ones who seize it understand timing, perception, and intimidation. They know hesitation kills opportunity faster than failure ever could. You don't wait to be chosen. You make yourself unavoidable. This truth burns because it shatters the comforting myth of justice. No one will see your worth until you impose it. Waiting for acknowledgement is submission disguised as patience. Power belongs to those who reach out and take it, not those who hope it finds them. In the end, the world doesn't crown the deserving. It crowns the daring. Make others believe they're in control. Make others believe they're in control while you steer the course. People crave agency. Handing them a sense of choice dissolves resistance and builds quiet compliance. When someone feels they decided, their guard relaxes, their defenses drop, and they rationalize the outcome as their own wisdom. This is not trickery so much as design. Structure options so every path advances your aim, then let them pick. The illusion of control is a velvet glove over an iron fist. Offer limited choices that channel behavior. Ask questions that steer answers. Present options that feel personalized but all lead to your goal. Praise the decision they made as obvious and clever. People double down on choices they believe they owned. When you let someone win a micro decision, you earn their cooperation for larger moves. Autonomy feels irresistible, and once someone feels autonomous, they will defend the outcome fiercely, even if it benefits you most. This technique works because humans hate being manipulated, yet love feeling smart. You bypass moral resistance by swapping orders for invitations, mandates for 3 plausible paths. Lead with empathy, mirror concerns, then slide subtle nudges that seem to originate from them. Layer in social proof, show others choosing the same, and their confidence will amplify into commitment. Use timing, offer choices when anxiety is high, certainty low, or ego needs validation. There's a dark elegance in this. You make people complicit in their own alignment. They embrace the path believing it was theirs, and in doing so, they become guardians of your design. To be irresistible is to make others certain they arrive there by themselves. Most people want to be led. Freedom is worshipped in theory, but feared in practice. Most people don't truly want independence. They want guidance, structure, and someone to tell them what to do with their freedom. Choice is heavy. Responsibility is exhausting. Certainty is comforting. That's why so many would rather follow a confident liar than confront the chaos of thinking for themselves. The desire to be led is not weakness. It's the human craving for order in a world that feels uncontrollable. From birth, we are conditioned to obey. Parents, teachers, bosses, governments. The pattern becomes familiar, even safe. People mistake obedience for peace because it frees them from the burden of consequence. If someone else is in charge, they can always blame them when things go wrong. Leadership gives them direction, identity, and purpose they cannot find alone. They want to believe in something or someone strong enough to silence their uncertainty. The true leader understands this instinct. They project confidence even when uncertain. They speak with conviction even when guessing. The crowd doesn't want a debate. They want assurance. They will follow the voice that sounds sure, not the one that sounds right. This is how dictators rise, corporations thrive, and movements are born. This truth is unsettling because it exposes how fragile free will really is. Most people do not seek truth. They seek relief from confusion. They surrender their autonomy willingly, begging for someone to lead them through the storm. Power belongs to the few willing to bear the loneliness of command, while the rest kneel in the comfort of direction. Influence emotions, not logic. Logic informs, but emotion decides. Every choice humans make, love, loyalty, faith, even revenge, is born from feeling, not reason. The rational mind may analyze, but the emotional heart commands. If you can make someone feel, you can make them believe. Logic can be argued, but emotion is lived. It bypasses the intellect and grips the soul. This is why persuasion is not a debate. It's a performance. People crave certainty, belonging, and validation. They are drawn to whoever can stir those emotions within them. A leader who speaks with passion will move millions more than a scholar who speaks with facts. Emotion is the language of the subconscious, and once you speak to it, logic becomes irrelevant. Make people angry, and they will fight for you. Make them hopeful, and they will die for you. No equation can compete with the fire of belief. The secret of influence is emotional control, both yours and theirs. You must remain calm as you ignite their hearts, detach even as you manipulate their feelings. The most dangerous person in any room is the one who feels nothing yet makes everyone else feel deeply. They can steer minds like ships in a storm, pushing people toward the conclusion they've already chosen for them. To dominate a crowd, appeal to its fears and desires. To control an individual, mirror their emotions and then redirect them. Logic ends where emotion begins, and in that realm, reason bows to rhythm, and truth bends to tone. Influence the heart, and the mind will follow willingly. Trust is a tool, not a virtue. Trust is not a sacred bond. It's a calculated instrument of control. It is the invisible rope that binds people to your will, not through force, but through belief. The naive see trust as a gift. The powerful see it as leverage. Every time someone trusts you, they hand you a piece of themselves, their secrets, their confidence, their predictability. In the hands of the strategic, that becomes a weapon sharper than betrayal. People crave trust because it brings emotional safety. They long to believe someone sees them without judgment, but that hunger makes them blind. Trust disarms skepticism, lowers defenses, and invites influence. Those who understand this exploit it masterfully. They build credibility not to keep it, but to use it. Politicians promise honesty, lovers promise loyalty, leaders promise protection, all to gain obedience, cloaked in comfort. True power lies in managing trust like currency. You give just enough to appear genuine, but never enough to be trapped. The powerful trust selectively, always with an escape. To them, trust is temporary, a means to an end, never the end itself. The weak equate trust with goodness. The strong equate it with access. This truth is cruel because it reveals how manipulation often wears sincerity's mask. The one who earns your trust gains influence over your thoughts and choices. The one who gives trust too freely becomes a puppet. In a world ruled by perception, trust isn't moral, it's mechanical. It's not about being trustworthy, it's about being trusted long enough to win. Keep your enemies close, but confused. Keeping your enemies physically and socially near is only half the art. The rest is to surround them with uncertainty. When they sit at your table, their instincts tell them they can read you, predict you, undermine you. But confusion is corrosive. It eats at confidence, forces hesitation, and turns sharp rivals into timid actors. A confused enemy misreads signals, overthinks threats, and hesitates at decisive moments. That hesitation is your weapon. Invite them in with gestures of civility, shared meals, common projects, flattery that sounds sincere. Let them believe proximity equals advantage. Feed them selective truths, then quietly shift the frame. Change rules mid-game with plausible explanations. Praise them for insight one day and subtly undermine that same insight the next. Small contradictions create cognitive friction. The mind seeks coherence and will keep scanning for patterns that never fully appear. This mental exhaustion dulls aggression and breeds security about the wrong things. Confusion isn't chaos, it's calibrated fog. Plant believable rumors that support multiple, conflicting narratives. Reward predictable behavior and punish unpredictably, so they cannot map cause to consequence. Show weakness deliberately, then reveal competence in unexpected moments. Let them talk more than you. In their attempts to understand, they reveal intentions and build themselves into traps. When they finally act, their choices are hesitant and easy to anticipate because they've already exhausted clarity trying to decode you. The goal isn't to destroy them immediately, but to cripple their certainty, turn their boldness into doubt, their plans into scattered fragments, their alliances into mirrors of your own design, and watch how power drifts toward the one who owns the map. Never outshine your superior. Human ego is fragile, especially in those who hold power. The moment you make someone above you feel small, you plant the seed of your own destruction. It doesn't matter how talented, brilliant, or well-intentioned you are. If your light blinds your superior, they will snuff it out. People in power crave admiration, not competition. They want to feel indispensable, not replaced. The wise understand that survival often depends not on shining brightest, but on appearing to shine just enough. Ambition is magnetic, but dangerous when misdirected. Many fall because they mistake excellence for immunity, believing merit alone protects them. It doesn't. Power is emotional, not rational. Your superior doesn't see your success as achievement. They see it as a mirror reflecting their own inadequacy. The smarter you are, the more carefully you must hide it behind humility. Complement their wisdom. Make your victories seem like their ideas. Let them taste ownership of your brilliance. History is filled with prodigies destroyed by their mentors, generals exiled by kings, and employees sabotaged by insecure bosses. They failed not from lack of skill, but from lack of restraint. Outshining your superior triggers envy, and envy is the most lethal poison in hierarchies. It kills upward. This truth wounds the proud because it demands disguise. To rise, you must learn the art of controlled dimness. Let your superior feel taller standing next to you. Guide their ego gently while you climb behind their shadow. In the theater of power, survival belongs not to the brightest, but to the one who knows when to dim the light. The weak hide behind virtue, the strong behind strategy. Virtue is the refuge of those without power. When people cannot win through strength, intelligence, or influence, they claim moral superiority as a shield. It gives them the illusion of importance, a way to judge the powerful while remaining powerless. They preach righteousness, not to uplift others, but to disguise envy and impotence. They call manipulation evil because they lack the skill to use it, and label ambition greed because they fear those who possess it. The strong, on the other hand, understand that morality is flexible and outcomes matter more than appearances. They hide behind strategy, not virtue. Every word, every gesture, every silence is calculated to advance their position. They know that the world rewards results, not intentions. While the weak cry about fairness, the strong rewrite the rules to their advantage. Strategy is their armor, precision their morality. Virtue feels good but changes nothing. Strategy offends, yet it shapes nations, wins wars, and builds empires. The weak try to be seen as good, the strong prefer to be effective. The difference lies in control. One seeks approval, the other seeks dominance. This truth is unsettling because it exposes how often goodness is just disguised weakness. The powerful understand that kindness without leverage is surrender, and integrity without foresight is self-sabotage. Virtue wins applause. Strategy wins the game. Those who hide behind virtue protect their conscience. Those who hide behind strategy protect their throne. Appear humble while plotting domination. Wear meekness like a costume while your mind sharpens knives in secret. Humility disarms. Arrogance provokes. When you lower your voice, offer deference, and lavish praise, you become a safe harbor where fragile egos relax and reveal themselves. People expose plans, resentments, and loyalties to the one who seems harmless, because modesty comforts their pride and masks danger. That exposure is your map. While they parade boldness, you gather leverage in silence. This is emotional camouflage, not deceit for its own sake. Appear small to see large, act apologetic to draw confession, concede trivial victories to win strategic battles later. Public meekness hides meticulous calculation. Let others taste moral superiority. It intoxicates them and blurs their sight. They will underestimate, misjudge, and volunteer for roles that serve your design, believing they are acting autonomously. The very virtue they flaunt becomes the rope you tie. Perform humility with ritual. Listen more than speak. Thank disproportionately. Take visible blame for minor failures and make modest requests that mask grander demands. Use stories of your fallibility to lower guards and inspire protective instincts. People instinctively defend the humble, shielding them from scrutiny while you rearrange the board behind polite smiles. Never let your act crumble into genuine self-abnegation. That leads to weakness. Keep ambition private, hunger contained, and calculations cold. There is an art to this. The gentleness must be credible enough to soothe but not so sincere that it consumes you. The result is efficient. Others become collaborators and guards of your ascent, convinced they helped, while you, unseen, place the pieces of domination where they cannot reach. Everyone has a price. Find it. Everyone has a price. This is not cynicism, but human anatomy. Beneath convictions and promises lies a private calculus of needs and fears. Some barter dignity for safety. Others trade secrets for status. Many yield principles for the warmth of approval. The task of influence is to find that calculus without alarming it, to locate the fulcrum that turns resistance into compliance. Observation is your scalpel. Hear the stories they repeat. Watch what they defend. Note what they quietly sacrifice. Small tests reveal large truths. A favor, a compliment, or a tempting chance will show how elastic their ethics are. Empathy becomes intelligence when you read motives. Envy, shame, hunger for recognition, fear of exposure, longing for legacy. Relationships are ledgers of behavioral currency. Every kindness, humiliation, and victory redraws the balance towards surrender or strength. Negotiation frames choices so refusal feels costlier than assent. Once you identify the lever, status, money, belonging, revenge, you tailor an offer that makes denial painful. Use subtlety. People surrender for relief more than coercion. Easing anxiety is the softest route to obedience. This is surgical work. Push too hard, and the vein clamps shut. Press gently, and the gate opens with no alarm. Ethics become private when incentives shout louder than creed. What terrifies is how swiftly integrity bends under pressure. The manipulator collects memories and gestures, then uses them to reroute loyalties and rearrange alliances in quiet increments. Many detect the trade only after choices reveal their elasticity, and they mourn values they assumed immutable. Find the price, then press gently until the barrier gives and choices realign and yield. Control information and you control minds. Information is the bloodstream of thought. Whoever controls its flow controls what people believe, fear, and obey. Minds don't think freely. They think within the limits of what they know, and what they know is what they've been told. Truth becomes irrelevant once access to it is filtered. That's why empires, corporations, and governments fight not over facts, but over narratives. The one who shapes information shapes perception, and perception is reality's mask. When you decide what others see, hear, and read, you decide what they feel. People act on emotion long before logic, and emotion is guided by the story you feed them. Control the story, and you can make enemies look monstrous. Lies sound noble, and obedience feel like freedom. Entire populations have been ruled through selective truth, by giving just enough light to blind them from the darkness behind it. The crowd rarely questions the source. They question what disagrees with their comfort. They don't seek truth. They seek confirmation. This makes them easy to steer. The one who controls information doesn't need to enforce power physically. They let people police their own thoughts, defending the very cage that confines them. This truth is terrifying because it strips away the illusion of independent thought. Every belief you hold may have been planted. Every fact you trust may have been chosen for you. Those who master information don't just influence, they own the architecture of reality. To rule minds, you don't need chains. You just need control of what they think is true. Never argue, manipulate. Argument is the weapon of the powerless. The moment you argue, you admit equality. You place your logic against theirs, your emotions against their resistance, and in doing so, you descend to their level. Argument is noise, manipulation is music. While the fool wastes breath trying to convince, the strategist shapes the outcome without ever raising his voice. Humans don't yield to logic, they yield to influence. The louder you argue, the more the other person digs in, defending ego rather than truth. But when you manipulate, you let them believe the idea was theirs. You bypass pride and plant your intent directly into their reasoning. This is persuasion's dark art, not confrontation, but orchestration. You move people like pieces on a board by steering their emotions, framing their choices, and letting them walk willingly into your design. To manipulate effectively, speak to desire, not reason. Don't say, "You're wrong." Instead, create a situation where being wrong feels uncomfortable and agreeing with you feels natural. Let silence pressure them. Let curiosity bait them. Let flattery soften their defenses until they mistake your control for connection. Every word should guide, not collide. Manipulation is not about deceit. It's about control. The wise understand that victory through argument is hollow. The loser resents you, and the crowd forgets. But when you manipulate, they thank you for winning them over. Arguing feeds the ego. Manipulation feeds the empire. The truly powerful never fight to be right. They engineer agreement. People follow confidence, not competence. The world bends not to the skilled, but to the certain. People crave assurance more than accuracy, and they will follow the voice that speaks with conviction, even when it leads them astray. Competence is silent and methodical. Confidence is loud, emotional, and contagious. In the battlefield of influence, emotion wins over evidence every time. Humans are wired to seek leaders who seem to know, not those who quietly do know. Certainty gives safety, even when it's false. A confident fool can move nations, inspire devotion, and silence genius simply because he radiates the illusion of control. The crowd doesn't analyze, they feel. And confidence is a feeling transmitted through tone, posture, and unwavering belief. Once it takes hold, it overrides logic. Competence demands time, effort, and proof. Confidence requires only performance. That's why the world stage is filled with actors who look fearless while the capable toil behind the curtain. The masses assume certainty equals expertise, and by the time they discover the truth, they've already passed over their loyalty. The powerful understand this and wield confidence like armor. They never hesitate publicly, never reveal uncertainty, never ask permission. They project authority until it becomes real. Those who wait for validation will forever serve those who act as if they don't need it. Confidence is the theater of power, and in a world desperate for direction, the one who sounds sure becomes the one who is. Flattery disarms faster than threats. Flattery is the silent dagger of influence. While threats provoke resistance, flattery melts defenses. The human ego, fragile and hungry, craves affirmation more than safety. Praise whispers directly to the brain's reward center, releasing warmth that dulls suspicion. The moment you make someone feel admired, they open the gates you could never force open through fear. It's not the compliment itself that conquers them. It's the feeling of being seen, validated, important. People will forgive insult before they forgive indifference. Threats trigger pride. Flattery sedates it. The soldier obeys the commander he fears, but he serves the one who flatters his worth. Tell someone they are wise, and they will argue your logic on your behalf. Tell them they are different, and they will betray their own tribe to prove you right. Flattery does not simply manipulate, it addicts. Once a person tastes admiration, they will do anything to keep receiving it. The secret lies in precision. Overdo flattery, and it reeks of deceit. Underdo it, and it misses the heart. The art is to mix sincerity with calculation. Praise what they already suspect is true, what their vanity whispers in silence, but never dares to claim aloud. Each word becomes permission to believe in their own superiority. Threats force submission. Flattery inspires voluntary servitude. The difference is subtle but devastating. One bends the body, the other bends the will, and a bent will never stand against you again. Always have leverage before you negotiate. Negotiation without leverage is begging dressed in confidence. Power in any exchange doesn't belong to the one who speaks the loudest. It belongs to the one who can walk away. Leverage is the invisible weapon that bends outcomes before words are even spoken. It's the silent threat of loss, the subtle promise of gain, the unspoken reminder that you don't need what the other side offers. Without leverage, you are not negotiating, you're pleading for mercy. Leverage begins long before the conversation starts. It's built through preparation, control of information, and the ability to affect what the other person values. The one with options is untouchable. The one with desperation is predictable. People can smell weakness, hesitation, need, fear, and they will exploit it with a smile. The art of negotiation lies in reversing that scent, in making them believe that you are the prize, not them. Even when you don't have real leverage, perception can create it. Silence can feel like power. Indifference can look like strength. The illusion of choice can force others to compromise. Every concession extracted in fear of losing you is proof of dominance. This truth is ruthless because it exposes how fairness dies at the table of necessity. The one who needs least controls most. Relationships, business deals, politics, all follow this law. If you enter without leverage, you enter as prey. The key is simple. Never ask until you can afford to walk away. and never walk in until they know you can. If you must betray, betray upward. Betrayal is inevitable in the pursuit of power. Every alliance is temporary, every loyalty conditional, and every bond a test of ambition. But if you must betray, do it upward, never sideways, never downward. Betray the weak, and you gain nothing but enemies. Betray the powerful, and you gain position, protection, and a share of their throne. Treachery, when executed with precision, is not a sin, it's a strategy. The world does not condemn betrayal, it condemns failure. Those who betray and lose are villains, but those who betray and rise are called visionaries, reformers, even heroes. History remembers the outcome, not the act. Caesar was stabbed and cursed Brutus, but every empire afterward was built on the same blade. The art lies not in loyalty, but in timing. Betray too early, and you're a fool. Betray too late, and you're forgotten. Betray at the perfect moment, and you are reborn. To betray upward means to abandon weakness for opportunity, to trade familiarity for growth, and to align yourself with greater power. The world respects those who evolve beyond their old masters. It's not treachery when it's transformation, it's survival. The powerful understand this truth. Loyalty is a performance, and betrayal is a promotion when done with elegance. If betrayal must come, let it elevate you. Let it be decisive, not desperate. Burn bridges only when the flames light your path forward. Those who betray upward rewrite their destiny. Those who betray downward only dig their grave. Never forgive completely. Remember quietly. Forgiveness is praised as virtue, but complete forgiveness is surrender. To erase the memory of betrayal is to invite it again. True power lies in the ability to forgive outwardly while remembering inwardly. You smile, you shake hands, you move on, but deep in your mind, you keep the ledger of who wounded you, when, and how, not to seek revenge immediately, but to understand the nature of those around you. People repeat the harm they were never punished for. When you forgive completely, you teach others that their offense came without consequence. But when you remember, silently, calmly, you gain insight. You begin to see patterns. Who lies under pressure? Who folds under fear? Who envies your progress? That awareness becomes armor. It prevents naivete from masquerading as kindness. Quiet remembrance is not bitterness. It is strategy. You pretend the wound healed, but you keep the scar uncovered. It reminds you where your guard must never drop again. The powerful forgive to appear magnanimous, but never forget, because memory is protection. They let their enemies relax, believing all is forgiven, until the moment justice can serve them best. To forget is to be blind twice, first by pain, then by denial. Remembering quietly keeps your eyes open. It allows you to rebuild without repeating. The wise never seek vengeance in anger. They wait until the lesson is complete, until timing turns memory into advantage. Forgive in words, but remember in silence. The calmest revenge is awareness. Use others' greed to serve your goals. Greed is a map you can read without their permission, an ache beneath manners, a hunger that makes people predictable and pliable. When you understand what others want more than sleep or reputation, you stop bargaining, you orchestrate. Offer the spark that lights their appetite, and they will walk into traps dressed as opportunities. Promise status to the status-hungry, profit to the profit-driven, recognition to the overlooked, and you will watch allegiances form faster than loyalty ever could. Greed turns agency into choreography. People perform steps you've composed because they believe the applause will be theirs. This is not crude bribery, it is psychological tailoring. Learn their secret currencies, the favors they hoard, the titles they crave, the illusions they worship, and dress your proposals in those fabrics. Make the gain immediate, visible, and repeatable so that short-term desire blinds longer judgment. Use scarcity, exclusivity, and the illusion of insider access to accelerate their appetite. Let them believe they discovered the route. People protect what they chose. Layer in social proof. Show others already feasting, and their hunger will triple. Most will betray strategy for a taste of reward, rationalizing corruption as ambition or pragmatism. There is elegance in the method. You never force their hand, you merely make their hand reach. Greed corrodes collective ethics and builds private engines of motion, agents who move for you because their engines are fed. Watch for entitlement. When their appetite grows faster than your control, adjust the menu. Feed desire just enough to keep them useful, never enough to make them insatiable. Greed is predictable, and predictability is power. Influence through scarcity. Scarcity is the heartbeat of desire. People rarely crave what's abundant. They crave what seems just out of reach. The moment something becomes limited, it transforms from ordinary to irresistible. Scarcity makes people chase faster, decide quicker, and surrender logic to emotion. It turns hesitation into obsession and transforms perception into power. When others believe access to you, your time, or your resources is rare, they assign it greater value, even if nothing else has changed. Human psychology is built on loss aversion. The fear of missing out is stronger than the desire to gain. People will risk comfort, money, even integrity to avoid the pain of exclusion. That's why luxury brands limit supply, why leaders remain distant, and why the most desired person in a room is the one who seems least available. Scarcity creates tension, and tension creates value. Those who understand this weaponize absence. They withdraw attention strategically, making others earn it. They speak less, appear less, give less. Each act of withholding fuels curiosity and longing. Power grows in distance, not exposure. The more people see you, the less they need you. The less they see you, the more they imagine you. This truth is uncomfortable because it demands restraint in a world obsessed with visibility. It teaches that attention is not gained by shouting, but by silence. Influence does not come from abundance. It comes from controlled deprivation. To influence others, don't always offer yourself. Make them feel your absence, and they'll chase your presence like it's gold. The crowd loves symbols more than substance. The masses don't follow truth. They follow theater. People are drawn not to depth, but to the illusion of it, not to meaning, but to the symbol of meaning. Symbols are shortcuts for emotion. They bypass thought and strike directly at the primal mind. A flag becomes a country. A logo becomes a legacy. A man becomes a myth. The crowd doesn't want reality. It wants something to believe in, something to worship, something to fill the emptiness of uncertainty. Substance demands reflection. Symbols demand faith. And faith is easier than thought. This is why movements are built on slogans, not philosophies. Why leaders wear uniforms, not transparency. Why a gesture can ignite a revolution faster than an idea can. The crowd needs something to see, a face, a color, a sign, because symbols speak the language of emotion, while truth speaks the language of reason, and reason is too slow to captivate the mob. The powerful understand this instinctively. They wrap their ambitions in symbols of virtue, freedom, justice, progress, turning manipulation into inspiration. People don't question what makes them feel righteous. They defend it blindly. Once a symbol enters their heart, it replaces logic entirely. The wise don't fight symbols, they create them. They craft the images people will die for, and the myths they will protect even from reality itself. Substance builds strength, but symbols build loyalty. And loyalty is the real currency of control. The crowd may forget what you said, but they will never forget what your symbol made them feel. Keep useful fools around. They deflect suspicion. Every empire, every powerful individual, every cunning strategist has kept fools nearby. Loud, clumsy, visible distractions that draw eyes away from the true source of control. A useful fool is more valuable than a loyal genius, because the fool attracts attention while you move unseen. Their presence absorbs scrutiny, ridicule, and blame, creating a shield of noise behind which you can quietly build power. People love to underestimate others. It gives them a false sense of superiority. A fool provides that illusion effortlessly. While they stumble publicly, you calculate privately. When something goes wrong, suspicion falls on them first. When things go right, they make your competence seem effortless by contrast. Their existence grants you both invisibility and credibility. You appear reasonable next to their chaos. In politics, business, and social circles, fools serve as lightning rods for tension. They voice the thoughts you cannot, make the mistakes you must avoid, and soften your image by comparison. Their predictability makes them controllable. Their need for validation makes them loyal. Feed their ego, let them think they matter, and they will gladly guard the stage you've already claimed behind the curtain. This truth feels cold because it exposes the cruel efficiency of human dynamics. Most people crave attention so desperately they'll volunteer to be pawns. They dance in the light, while the strategist writes the script in the shadows. Keep them close, keep them talking, and let them draw the fire that would have burned you. Power rarely hides in silence. It hides behind laughter. Show emotion only when it benefits you. Emotion is a weapon disguised as honesty. When you control its display, it becomes a tool. When it controls you, it becomes a leash. Most people bleed their feelings freely, mistaking vulnerability for authenticity. They don't realize emotion is currency, valuable only when spent deliberately. The one who can summon tears, warmth, or fury on command holds an invisible edge over those who can't tell performance from sincerity. Anger used sparingly commands fear. Compassion expressed strategically invites loyalty. Even sadness can manipulate sympathy when timed precisely. But uncontrolled emotion betrays you. It reveals weakness, shows cards you should never expose, and gives others a map of how to move you. The Stoic isn't heartless. They are a tactician who releases feeling like a calculated strike, never a reflex. This discipline requires brutal awareness. You must learn the theater of emotion, the tone, the silence, the pause that makes others lean in. A single sigh at the right moment can gain what 100 arguments cannot. People respond not to reason, but to the way emotion frames it. The right display becomes an amplifier of power, magnifying your influence while concealing your intent. Use emotion like perfume, faint enough to intrigue, strong enough to linger. Let others believe they've glimpsed your real self, and they will trust you more deeply than truth ever could. But never let that performance own you. The world bows not to those who feel most deeply, but to those who decide when to feel. Timing beats effort. Effort without timing is noise, exhaustion masquerading as progress. The world doesn't reward the hardest worker. It rewards the one who moves exactly when it matters. Timing turns mediocrity into mastery, while poor timing turns brilliance into failure. A single well-placed move at the right moment can outweigh years of relentless struggle. The powerful don't rush. They wait, they watch, and they strike when the world is unbalanced. Most people mistake movement for momentum. They grind endlessly, confusing activity with achievement, chasing results that timing would have delivered with a fraction of the effort. The wise understand that success is rhythm, not resistance. Everything in life, markets, emotions, people, operates in cycles. Those who sense these cycles manipulate them. Those who ignore them are crushed by them. Patience is not passivity. It's preparation disguised as stillness. Timing demands emotional control. The impulsive act when they feel ready. The strategic act when the world is ready. Knowing when to speak, when to remain silent, when to enter, and when to withdraw separates rulers from pawns. The same idea that is ignored today could be celebrated tomorrow if introduced at the perfect moment. This truth is cruel because it undermines the comfort of hard work. It reveals that life is not fair. It's opportunistic. The universe doesn't care how much you sweat. It moves for those who move in sync with its rhythm. Power doesn't always belong to the strongest or the smartest, but to the one who knows when to strike while everyone else is still waiting. Create dependence. It ensures loyalty. True loyalty doesn't come from love, respect, or gratitude. It comes from need. People stay loyal not to those they admire, but to those they depend on. When someone believes their comfort, safety, or success is tied to you, betrayal becomes unthinkable. Dependency transforms choice into necessity. It is the invisible chain that binds hearts stronger than trust ever could. The powerful understand this. Gratitude fades, but fear of loss endures. Give someone everything they desire, opportunity, guidance, protection, and quietly make sure they cannot have it without you. This is how kings rule their courts, leaders rule their followers, and lovers rule each other. They make themselves the source. Once you are the source, loyalty is no longer voluntary. It's survival. Dependency must be built subtly. Too much control breeds rebellion. Too little and they drift away. The art lies in balance. Empower them just enough to feel free, but never enough to live without you. Let them succeed, but make sure every success traces back to your hand. Let them believe they chose you, while you quietly shape every reason they stay. This truth is merciless because it exposes the mechanics behind devotion. Love can waver, respect can be lost, but dependency makes loyalty instinctive. It transforms affection into fear, and fear into obedience. To ensure allegiance, don't demand loyalty. Design it. Become their anchor, their habit, their oxygen. Once they need you, they won't dare to betray you, because losing you would mean losing themselves. Appear predictable, act unpredictable. Predictability is comfort. Unpredictability is power. When people believe they can read you, they stop guarding themselves. They relax, they assume, they underestimate. To appear predictable is to lower their defenses, to make them believe they know your rhythm, your reactions, your limits. But beneath that facade lies the true weapon, unpredictability used with precision, not chaos. When your actions defy expectation at the perfect moment, you seize control of the narrative and leave your opponents unbalanced. The human mind craves patterns. It feels safe in routine. Once people think they've mapped you, they build their strategies around those assumptions. That's when you strike differently, breaking their script, making them question what they thought they knew. Confusion breeds hesitation, and hesitation is opportunity. Those who can't predict you can't prepare for you. To appear predictable requires discipline. You must play your part convincingly. Consistent habits, familiar words, steady tone. Let them believe you're stable, simple, even dull. Then, when the moment matters most, move in a way that shatters their perception. The contrast amplifies your impact, making ordinary acts feel extraordinary and small moves feel seismic. Unpredictability is not recklessness, it's orchestration. The unpredictable act must always serve a purpose: intimidation, surprise, advantage. The weak are unpredictable out of impulse. The powerful are unpredictable by design. This blend of comfort and chaos makes you untouchable, calm enough to trust, dangerous enough to fear. Appear predictable so they sleep easily. Act unpredictable so they never rest again. Power grows in silence, not in noise. Power matures in the shadows, not on the stage. Those who shout their ambitions scatter it. Those who whisper it multiply it. Noise attracts envy, scrutiny, and sabotage. Silence attracts curiosity, and curiosity is leverage. The quiet strategist watches the loud ones reveal their desires, fears, and blind spots, all while appearing invisible. Noise feeds ego. Silence feeds control. The loud man seeks validation. The silent one studies patterns. He listens for cracks in confidence, hesitations in tone. Opportunities born from others need to be heard. Power expands quietly. In meetings where you speak last, in decisions made before others know a choice exists. When your moves are unseen, resistance cannot form. Silence becomes a shield, a cloak that hides preparation until execution makes it undeniable. Those who mistake your calm for weakness grant you freedom. They gossip, underestimate, and overexpose themselves, unaware that silence collects their secrets. The most dangerous figure in any room isn't the one commanding attention, it's the one paying attention. True dominance is not announced, it's discovered too late. Every empire collapses from noise, boasts, declarations, public defiance. Every lasting one is built through whispers and restraint. The patient build networks instead of audiences, influence instead of applause. Noise gives you followers, silence gives you foundations. And when the moment comes to act, the quiet rise feels like fate, because no one saw it coming until it was already too late. People admire ruthlessness. They secretly wish they had. Deep down, people are drawn to what they fear. Ruthlessness, the ability to act without hesitation, to cut ties, to prioritize power over emotion, terrifies them because it represents the freedom they deny themselves. Most live chained to guilt, doubt, and the opinions of others. They envy those who move through life untouched by these weights. The ruthless embody what the timid repress, unapologetic will. When someone dares to do what others only fantasize about, speak bluntly, reject weakness, take what they want, they become both villain and idol. People condemn ruthlessness publicly because it threatens their moral comfort, but privately, they respect it. They see in it a reflection of their own suppressed hunger to be unrestrained. The bold act while others rationalize. The decisive sees what the hesitant lose. Society disguises admiration for the ruthless as outrage. They call them cold, cruel, or arrogant, but beneath the criticism lies fascination. The ruthless expose a brutal truth. Kindness without boundaries is servitude. Control without emotion looks monstrous only to those who lack it. Power requires the courage to be disliked, and that courage is rare. This truth unsettles because it forces confrontation with one's own cowardice. People secretly revere those who play life like a game of survival, not morality. They watch the ruthless rise and whisper, "I could never do that." But what they mean is, "I wish I could." Beneath every moral judgment hides envy of the strength to act without apology. Every alliance hides a rivalry. Every alliance is a truce between ambitions, not a union of hearts. Beneath every handshake lies a quiet calculation, a question unspoken. Who will outgrow whom? Cooperation is never pure. It is competition wearing diplomacy's mask. People form alliances not from loyalty, but from convenience, fear, or mutual gain. And as soon as one side no longer needs the other, the partnership turns into a power struggle. This is the hidden heartbeat of all relationships in politics, business, and life. Allies smile while measuring your strengths. They applaud your victories while secretly assessing how to surpass them. They share your table today to learn how to defeat you tomorrow. Even in friendship, rivalry simmers beneath affection, the silent tension between admiration and envy. The closer the alliance, the sharper the eventual betrayal. Understanding this truth means never confusing cooperation with safety. You must treat every ally as both partner and potential enemy. Reveal enough to keep them invested, but never enough to make yourself replaceable. Praise them, but watch them. Empower them, but keep the strings in your hands. The moment you forget that alliances are temporary, you hand your rival the knife they'll one day use. The most dangerous enemy is the one who once called you friend. Rivalry disguised as loyalty is the most potent poison. It kills slowly, smiling all the while. Every alliance is a game of patience, and the winner is the one who sees betrayal coming and greets it with a plan, not surprise. Control your image as carefully as your words. Power is not only spoken, it's seen, felt, and imagined. Every gesture, expression, and silence you offer shapes how others define you. People rarely judge truth, they judge appearance. Your image becomes your reputation, and reputation becomes your power. Control it meticulously, because perception spreads faster than reality ever can. The wrong impression can destroy what the right words could never save. Words fade, images linger. A single careless display of emotion can undo months of quiet strength. One public weakness becomes your identity in the eyes of those who need reasons to doubt you. The powerful know this, and so they curate themselves like living myths. Every look, every reaction, every silence serves a function. The calm voice projects control. The stillness during conflict suggests dominance. Even apparent humility can be designed to disarm. People see what you show them and assume it's all there is. That illusion is your greatest ally. You can appear confident while uncertain, benevolent while calculating, fragile while plotting. Control your image not by lying, but by filtering. Show only what strengthens your position. Conceal everything that does not. Those who ignore this truth believe authenticity guarantees respect. It doesn't. Authenticity is raw, unpredictable, and often unappealing. Image is strategy, the visual language of influence. Manage it like a weapon. A disciplined image commands authority before you even speak, shapes how your words are heard, and ensures that even your silence speaks for you. In a world ruled by eyes, control is not about truth, it's about presentation. Weakness invites exploitation. In the hierarchy of survival, weakness is not pitied, it's targeted. Nature doesn't reward vulnerability, it devours it. The same law governs human behavior, hidden beneath civility and moral slogans. People sense weakness the way predators scent blood. It might be uncertainty in your tone, hesitation in your eyes, or the quiet desperation of needing approval. Once they see it, they will test you, subtly at first, then relentlessly. Weakness attracts exploitation because it offers opportunity. The opportunist doesn't hate you. They see you as a resource, an opening to climb, to control, to feed their own security. Every time you bend too easily, over-explain, or fear confrontation, you teach others the limits of your resistance. They will keep pushing until you either collapse or learn to push back. The world doesn't exploit strength, it negotiates with it. This truth is brutal because it kills the illusion of fairness. Good intentions don't protect you. Niceness isn't a shield, it's an invitation. You must harden your boundaries, sharpen your tone, and project certainty even when trembling inside. The perception of strength often matters more than strength itself. People rarely attack what they fear to lose against. Control your emotions, hide your insecurities, and confront disrespect the moment it appears. Weakness doesn't vanish when ignored, it multiplies. The moment you tolerate exploitation, you authorize it. Power respects firmness, not kindness. Compassion has value only when backed by consequence. Show weakness once, and you'll spend years paying for that single exposure. In a world of hunters, the only safety is to look untouchable. Always have a scapegoat ready. In the theater of power, blame is currency, and survival belongs to the one who spends it wisely. When things go wrong, and they always do, the crowd doesn't seek truth. They seek someone to blame. The scapegoat exists to absorb chaos, to cleanse you of failure, to keep your hands clean while theirs burn. Every great leader, tyrant, and strategist keeps one ready, not out of cruelty, but necessity. Power demands someone else's downfall when the tide turns. People crave simple stories with clear villains. Complexity confuses them. Guilt terrifies them. A scapegoat provides order to disorder, a symbol to sacrifice, so the system feels stable again. By redirecting blame, you protect your image, your influence, and your control over perception. The crowd rarely checks the truth once blood has been offered. They just want to see it spilled. A good scapegoat is chosen carefully, close enough to be believable, distant enough to be disposable. They can be a subordinate, an advisor, or even an entire department. What matters is that their fall appears justifiable. The best scapegoats never realize they've been chosen until it's too late. This truth is dark because it exposes the cruelty of preservation. Innocence is irrelevant when reputation is at stake. Power survives not through fairness, but through sacrifice. When the world demands punishment, it will take someone. Better it not be you. The wise build success on credit and failure on others. In power, it's not about who's guilty. It's about who's left standing when the dust settles. The one who defines the narrative wins. Power is not about truth. It's about control of the story. The one who defines the narrative decides who is hero and who is villain, who deserves glory and who deserves blame. Facts are powerless without framing. Perception is reality's sculptor. The storyteller becomes the ruler because people don't live by truth. They live by meaning, and meaning is written by those who speak first, loudest, and with conviction. History itself is proof. The victors are remembered as liberators, the defeated as tyrants. Nations justify conquest as freedom. Corporations mask greed as innovation, and manipulators disguise ambition as vision. Those who command language command thought. Once people adopt your version of events, they defend it as their own. You don't need to silence the truth. Just drown it beneath your narrative. The narrative doesn't need to be true. It only needs to feel true. The right emotion will always outpower the right fact. Control the language, and you control interpretation. Call a lie a strategy, and it becomes wisdom. Call destruction progress, and the crowd will cheer as you burn the old world down. Words are weapons that carve belief into the minds of the masses. The weak fight battles, the strong write history. The narrative is the throne from which all influence flows. Once your version becomes the accepted reality, opposition sounds like madness. To rule perception, tell the story first, tell it well, and never stop telling it. The truth doesn't win, the storyteller does. Charm opens doors that force cannot. Force can make people obey, but charm makes them want to. Charm is invisible power, soft in tone, gentle in touch, yet devastatingly effective. It disarms logic, dissolves resistance, and turns opposition into eager cooperation. Where aggression sparks defense, charm invites surrender. People forgive charm, trust it, even when it manipulates them. It enters through emotion, not intimidation, and once inside, it rewires loyalty. Charm is not flattery, it's precision. It's knowing when to smile, when to listen, and when to make someone feel like the only person in the world. It feeds ego subtly, making others feel valued, seen, and important. Once you awaken that feeling in someone, they will defend you, serve you, even excuse your flaws. Force can control actions, charm controls hearts. The charmer's weapon is warmth. While others fight for dominance, the charming one dissolves conflict with grace. They appear harmless while steering outcomes quietly, weaving influence through empathy and timing. Power gained through fear dies with distance. Power gained through affection endures. People remember how you made them feel, not what you made them do. Charm bends even the proudest minds because it cloaks ambition in humanity. It makes manipulation look like connection and dominance feel like choice. Those who master charm don't need to shout, threaten, or demand. They glide through locked doors because people open them willingly. In the theater of influence, charm is the most elegant form of control. It conquers without battle and leaves its victims grateful for their defeat. Never fight battles you can win politically. Instead, force wins ground. Politics wins kingdoms. The wise don't waste energy on open confrontation when they can redirect power quietly, without blood or spectacle. Fighting drains resources, reveals intentions, and breeds enemies. Politics, when mastered, achieves the same ends invisibly, through influence, alliance, and manipulation. The strongest warriors die young. The shrewdest politicians die kings. Every conflict has two levels, the visible clash and the unseen current of persuasion beneath it. The fool swings his sword at the problem. The strategist whispers to the problem's master. Influence the decision-makers, the witnesses, the gossip channels, and victory arrives before the battle begins. No one resists what they believe they chose. Politics turns opponents into messengers, rivals into pawns, and obstacles into stepping stones. The secret is to make others fight for you while believing they're protecting their own interests. Let them argue, defend, and destroy on your behalf while you remain the calm architect behind the storm. Fighting earns fear. Politics earns control. A bruised enemy remembers your face. A politically defeated one often thanks you afterward, never realizing how you pulled the strings. This principle demands patience and precision. You must understand timing, perception, and ego. Delay the clash until your opponent's allies doubt them, until their pride isolates them. Then victory requires no violence, only suggestion. The ultimate power move isn't to crush someone publicly, it's to make them believe you never opposed them at all. Let others take the blame for your idea if it fails. Power is not about being right, it's about remaining untouchable. Every bold idea carries risk, and risk is a fire that burns whoever stands too close when things go wrong. The shrewd never let that be themselves. They understand that credit can be shared, but blame must always be redirected. By allowing others to carry the visible ownership of a risky plan, you gain freedom. If it succeeds, you step into the light. If it fails, you stay in the shadows, clean, calm, and ready to rebuild. People crave recognition. Their ego makes them eager to attach their name to a new idea, blind to the possibility of failure. You can use that hunger. Encourage their ownership subtly. You're the perfect person to lead this. This was your insight from the start. Once they accept it as theirs, you've already secured your escape. When success comes, praise them publicly, but in sure whispers, trace the vision back to you. When disaster hits, let them drown in the glory they demanded. This isn't cowardice, it's control. In the brutal economy of reputation, perception outweighs effort. The world doesn't remember who worked hardest, it remembers who survived. The clever turn accountability into armor, directing blame like lightning rods to others. This truth is merciless because it demands emotional detachment. It teaches that self-preservation outranks fairness, and that distance from failure is more valuable than proximity to credit. In the game of power, it's better to be the ghost behind success than the corpse beneath failure. People's memory is short, use it. The human mind forgets quickly. Pain, promises, and even betrayal fade faster than anyone dares to admit. People are prisoners of the present, slaves to emotion and novelty. Their outrage burns bright but brief. Their loyalty flickers with distraction. What feels eternal today becomes irrelevant tomorrow. This weakness is your opportunity. If you can outlast their attention span, you can outlive your mistakes. Power belongs to the one who understands time, not truth. Scandals vanish, lies dissolve, failures fade into dust. The world doesn't remember what you did. It remembers what you did last. The crowd forgives not because it's kind, but because it's forgetful. Tomorrow's chaos will bury today's shame. All you must do is stay calm, stay present, and wait for memory to erode your enemy's weapons. The powerful exploit this flaw ruthlessly. They apologize just long enough to appear human, then move forward as if nothing happened. They overwhelm attention with new distractions, fresh headlines, grand gestures, louder promises. Soon the crowd's mind resets, and the slate is clean. History is rewritten, not through lies, but through forgetfulness. Never fear being hated, fear being forgotten. Hatred fades, but indifference erases you completely. The wise weaponize forgetfulness, shaping cycles of outrage and relief to their advantage. When you understand that the public mind resets faster than it reflects, you stop defending your past and start controlling their present. The world forgets almost everything, except those who keep reminding it who they are. The bigger the lie, the easier it's believed. Small lies trigger suspicion. Great lies inspire awe. The human mind expects deceit to be modest, plausible, cautious, and self-serving. But a lie so massive, so outrageous, defies that expectation. It overwhelms reason. People assume no one would dare invent something so grand unless it were true. The audacity itself becomes its proof. That is why the biggest deceivers are often seen as visionaries. Their confidence makes disbelief feel naive. Humans crave certainty more than truth. When faced with something too enormous to question, they surrender to the illusion for emotional relief. The bigger the lie, the more it fills a psychological need to feel safe, to feel part of something meaningful, to believe in a force greater than confusion. People will twist facts, deny evidence, and attack doubters just to preserve the comfort of believing. The architects of power understand this instinct. They don't bother with subtle deceptions. They build myths. They wrap lies in grandeur, religion, patriotism, progress, love, and watch as the masses defend them with zeal. A colossal lie gives identity, belonging, and purpose, things truth often fails to offer. The truth isolates, lies unite. This truth is disturbing because it reveals how easily belief can be hijacked. A lie told boldly enough becomes a reality. People will kill to protect. The bigger the fabrication, the deeper the faith. The mind resists small dishonesty, but it kneels before magnificence. The world doesn't run on what's real. It runs on what's repeated loudly enough to sound divine. Cultivate mystery. It breeds respect. Familiarity dissolves awe. The more people think they understand you, the less they fear losing you. Mystery, however, breeds both fascination and restraint. It turns ordinary presence into enigma and enigma into power. The human mind cannot resist filling in blanks. When you give them silence, they create stories, and stories often glorify you beyond what reality ever could. People respect what they can't fully read because mystery feels like superiority disguised as calm. Those who overshare their motives, their plans, their emotions become predictable, and predictability is the death of influence. When everyone knows what you want, they can block it. When no one knows, they hesitate. Mystery keeps them guessing which version of you they're facing, the ally, the rival, or the storm waiting behind still eyes. In that uncertainty, they tread carefully, fearing invisible consequences. To cultivate mystery, master restraint. Speak less than necessary, reveal only fragments, and let curiosity do the heavy lifting. Disappear at your peak instead of overstaying. Be seen rarely, but always remembered. Even small acts, pausing before answers, changing routines, withholding reactions, feed your legend. People will whisper, speculate, and interpret silence as depth, power, or purpose. Let them. Mystery is not deception. It is discipline. It's refusing to hand the world a map of your soul. When they cannot label you, they elevate you. When they cannot predict you, they respect you. Power rarely roars. It hums beneath questions no one can quite answer. Never teach someone enough to surpass you. Knowledge is power, and giving too much of it away is handing someone the weapon that could one day destroy you. Every lesson you teach, every secret you share, is a seed of potential that may grow into your replacement. Gratitude fades, ambition doesn't. The student who once admired you will eventually crave independence, and independence often demands your downfall. To teach without restraint is to build your own rival with your own hands. The wise mentor understands that knowledge must be rationed, not gifted. Teach enough to make others useful, but never enough to make them free. Keep the final piece of the puzzle to yourself, the method, the insight, the hidden rule that keeps you indispensable. Power thrives on asymmetry. Once balance is achieved, hierarchy dies. If they no longer need you, they will no longer protect you. This truth feels cruel because it defies the ideal of generosity. We're told to share wisdom freely, to elevate others, but in the real world, every person you lift too high casts a shadow on you. Even loyalty weakens when competence grows unchecked. The protege's gratitude turns to pride, pride to comparison, and comparison to rebellion. To stay irreplaceable, maintain mystery, be the gatekeeper of the unseen, the architect of what others cannot replicate. The powerful don't reveal all, they reveal enough. Teach others to climb, but never show them the door to the throne room. The moment they see what you see, your rule ends. The appearance of fairness is more important than fairness itself. People don't crave justice, they crave the feeling of justice. They want to believe the world is balanced, that good is rewarded and evil punished. But fairness is rarely real. It's a performance crafted to keep order. The appearance of fairness soothes outrage, maintains trust, and sustains authority, even when the scales are rigged beneath the table. True fairness is expensive and dangerous. Its illusion, however, is cheap and powerful. The powerful understand this perfectly. They don't need to be fair, they only need to look fair. They hold public trials after private verdicts, apologize after careful rehearsals, and create systems of transparency that conceal more than they reveal. The performance of fairness pacifies rebellion. As long as people believe the rules are just, they will continue to play even when they're losing. Humans accept inequality as long as it feels symmetrical. A fair tone, a token act of accountability, or a carefully timed gesture of compassion convinces the crowd that morality still governs the game. It doesn't, but belief in fairness keeps society functional. It's the anesthesia of injustice. This truth stings because it unmasks the theater we live in. Justice is rarely about truth, it's about perception management. The world doesn't reward fairness, it rewards faith in fairness. Those who understand this manipulate optics masterfully, orchestrating balance where none exists. The appearance of fairness keeps the crowd calm, the hierarchy stable, and the powerful untouchable. In the end, people don't need justice. They just need to see it. Be ruthless when it matters, merciful when it impresses. Ruthlessness is a blade, mercy is a mask. The powerful learn to treat both as tools rather than morals. A single decisive cut ends threats. A single gracious pardon creates legends. Use ruthlessness when stakes demand survival, position, or deterrence. Act swiftly, privately, and without remorse so rivals understand the cost. Use mercy when it multiplies influence. Publicize selective clemency to bind supporters, manufacture gratitude, and rewrite narratives. Timing is the surgeon's skill. Strike hard enough to instruct, then reveal compassion just enough to reshape perception. People remember the heat of punishment and the warmth of unexpected forgiveness. Perpetual kindness erodes authority. Unrelenting cruelty breeds conspiracies. The leader who can both execute and embrace becomes almost mythic. Feared for competence, loved for magnanimity. Let your severity be final but discreet. Let your compassion be visible but conditional. Stage generosity so it looks spontaneous, but reserve it for moments that yield political capital. Turn mercy into reputation. Turn ruthlessness into precedent. Emotion, spectacle, and leverage govern allegiance. Punish to educate, pardon to collect debt. Make dependency a byproduct of benevolence. Make discipline the cost of defiance. Kindness without advantage is surrender. Cruelty without pattern is chaos. The master composes rhythm. Shock to command attention, balm to secure hearts, and repeat. Train your circle to expect discomfort, then shower the many with select favors, so they owe you relief. Public mercy is a mirror that makes you lovable. Private ruthlessness is the furnace that forges respect. Master both and you command fear and affection simultaneously. Play both roles with intent, cruelty, charm, and calculation. And they will obey quietly. Keep your options open. Commitment is control surrendered. Commitment feels noble, but it is often a cage disguised as virtue. The moment you lock yourself into one path, one alliance, or one identity, you hand over leverage. Predictability breeds vulnerability. When people know where you stand, they know how to move against you. Keeping your options open is not indecision, it's strategy. It keeps others guessing, negotiating, and chasing your favor because uncertainty makes you valuable. In every arena of power, politics, business, relationships, the one who commits last holds the advantage. When you delay your decision, others reveal their intentions first. They expose their fears, their needs, their impatience. And when they do, you gain control of the rhythm. The world rewards flexibility, not loyalty. Commit too early, and you become a pawn in someone else's plan. Stay fluid, and you become the plan itself. People preach commitment because it comforts them. It creates predictability in a chaotic world. But the powerful thrive in that chaos. They adapt faster, pivot quietly, and never tie their survival to one promise or person. To them, commitment is a tool, not a principle. It's used when it grants advantage and discarded when it doesn't. This truth unnerves because it exposes how attachment weakens autonomy. The one who needs nothing cannot be controlled. Keep your loyalties loose, your ties adjustable, and your future unbound. Let others swear allegiance while you stay free. Commitment may win hearts, but freedom wins empires. Betrayal is expected in the game of power. Power is not a bond. It's a battlefield disguised as an alliance. Every handshake conceals a knife. Every promise carries an expiration date. Betrayal isn't a crime in this game. It's a move. To expect loyalty in the pursuit of power is to misunderstand human nature. Ambition and self-preservation are stronger than devotion, and when survival or advancement demands it, even allies will turn. The wise don't fear betrayal, they plan for it. In power, everyone has a threshold where loyalty collapses, a price, a threat, or an opportunity too tempting to ignore. The powerful know this and keep their relationships transactional, not emotional. They never trust intentions, only incentives. Today's ally may be tomorrow's rival, and the enemy of your enemy is only your friend until they no longer need you. Those who survive long in power don't depend on faith, they depend on leverage. This truth is brutal because it shatters the illusion of loyalty. It teaches that betrayal is not an exception. It's a rhythm that repeats with every rise to dominance. Even the most trusted inner circles fracture under pressure. History bleeds with the names of those destroyed by the hands that once fed them. To endure, you must betray before being betrayed, or at least ensure you benefit when it happens. Never be surprised by disloyalty. Only the naive are. Power thrives on shifting alliances and silent opportunism. In this game, betrayal isn't a failure of character. It's proof that the game is being played correctly. Speak less than you know. Act more than you show. Power leaks through words. Every sentence you give away without purpose becomes ammunition for someone else's advantage. The more you speak, the more predictable you become. The easier it is for others to measure, mirror, and manipulate you. Silence, on the other hand, is armor. It makes people guess, overthink, and project their own fears onto your stillness. The quiet are never underestimated for long. The loud always are. Those who speak less hold mystery, and mystery breeds influence. People trust what they cannot fully read because it feels larger than them. An enigma they must respect or fear. When you reveal little, your words gain weight. Every sentence becomes deliberate, every pause a signal, every silence a question. They rush to answer for you. The world confuses restraint with wisdom, and so silence becomes authority. But silence alone is not power. Action is. To act more than you show is to strike before explanation, to achieve before boasting, to let results whisper the truth of your strength. Deeds that arrive unannounced stun the world. Promises only prepare it. Those who broadcast intentions invite interference. Those who move quietly face none. This truth stings because it contradicts ego. The weak crave recognition. The strong crave control. Talking satisfies pride, but silence builds empires. Speak less than you know, so your mind remains unread. Act more than you show, so your power feels inevitable. Words expose. Action enforces. Power thrives where silence plans and movement answers. The crowd forgives success, never failure. Failure offends the masses because it mirrors their own fears. Success, no matter how ruthless, is worshipped because it validates their fantasies of victory. People will excuse cruelty, betrayal, and deceit if the outcome gleams bright enough. But stumble once, fail publicly, bleed visibly, and they'll turn away, disgusted not by your fall, but by what it reveals about their own fragility. The world forgives anything except weakness. Success cleanses sins. History remembers conquerors, not the corpses they stepped over. A liar who wins becomes clever. A tyrant who prospers becomes a leader. A manipulator who thrives becomes strategic. The crowd loves winners because they need them. To believe effort still means control in a world governed by chaos. The successful become living proof that power is possible, even if morality dies in the process. Failure, however, triggers contempt. It threatens the illusion of fairness. The crowd doesn't see effort, only results. They assign virtue to victory and guilt to defeat. Even those who once cheered you will distance themselves when you lose, fearful that your downfall might stain their own image. This truth burns because it exposes how admiration is transactional. The world doesn't reward character, it rewards momentum. Success rewrites your story, paints cruelty as courage, selfishness as ambition. Failure erases all nuance. It makes you forgettable. Those who understand this chase not goodness, but triumph, because once you win, the crowd will worship you, and once you lose, they'll swear they never knew you. Most friends are future competitors. Friendship is often the first stage of rivalry, wrapped in warmth to hide its evolution. Behind smiles and shared victories lies a quiet accounting of status. Who's ahead, who's admired, who's gaining ground. The closer people stand beside you, the more they measure themselves against you. Success turns allies into mirrors that reflect their inadequacy. What begins as admiration slowly curdles into envy, and envy is the seed of competition. Human nature cannot resist comparison. Even the most loyal friend secretly weighs your triumphs against their own. When you rise, they feel small. When you stumble, they feel balance restored. This is not malice, it's instinct. The people closest to you have the most to prove because your success highlights their stagnation. Strangers may envy you, but friends compete with you. They know your weaknesses, your habits, your doubts. And one day, that knowledge becomes leverage. The wise never confuse companionship with safety. They enjoy friendship, but prepare for conflict. They share laughter, not secrets, loyalty, not dependence. Every alliance contains the potential for betrayal, especially when opportunity tilts the scale. That's why the powerful nurture friends the way a general watches soldiers, valued, appreciated, but never fully trusted. This truth stings because it exposes the fragile line between affection and ambition. The same friend who claps for your victory today may crave your downfall tomorrow. Keep them close, but not inside your armor. In the game of power, even friendship has an expiration date, the moment success divides rather than unites. Make others feel smarter than you. Ego blinds people far more effectively than deceit ever could. When you make someone feel intelligent, capable, and insightful, they stop seeing you as a threat and start seeing you as an ally. The moment a person feels superior, their defenses vanish. They open up, reveal information, and even work to impress you, all while believing they're in control. Making others feel smarter than you isn't submission, it's strategy. It's how the quiet minds manipulate the loud ones. Human beings crave validation more than truth. They don't want to be right. They want to feel right. The powerful exploit this weakness. They ask questions instead of giving orders. They appear to seek advice, and they let others believe they're leading the conversation. In reality, they're steering it. The illusion of intelligence is more intoxicating than intelligence itself, and those who feed that illusion can guide even the proudest minds without resistance. People trust those who make them feel wise. They become loyal to the one who reflects their brilliance back at them. It's psychological flattery disguised as respect, and while they bask in their perceived superiority, you gather insight, influence, and control. This truth cuts deep because it exposes how power often wears humility like a mask. The greatest manipulators are rarely the loudest. They're the ones who listen, nod, and make you believe every good idea was yours. When others feel smarter, they lower their guard. And when their guard falls, your power begins to rise. Power demands sacrifice, usually of others. Every ascent leaves casualties behind. Power feeds on cost. And the brutal truth is that the higher you climb, the more others bleed for your rise. Empires, corporations, and legacies are not built on genius alone. They're built on the exhaustion, loyalty, and losses of those beneath. Power requires energy, time, and devotion far greater than one person can give, so it takes what it needs from others, their trust, their labor, their belief. The strong understand this and do not flinch. They learn to delegate both glory and guilt. They let others fight their battles, absorb their failures, and carry their burdens while appearing generous. Every leader demands loyalty, but gives only opportunity in return. Those who follow believe they are part of something greater. In truth, they are the offering that keeps the fire burning. Sacrifice in power is rarely shared. The powerful speak of teamwork while protecting their own survival. They craft narratives of honor and duty to make others want to sacrifice. Soldiers die for flags, employees burn out for visions, lovers crumble for ambition, all believing it means something. The manipulator ensures it does, for them. This truth unsettles because it exposes the quiet cruelty of ambition. Power must consume to sustain itself, and mercy cannot always coexist with growth. Those who understand this do not apologize for the cost. They manage it. Power survives by transferring pain downward and credit upward. Someone always pays, and the wise ensure it's never them. Never reveal weakness unless it's bait. Weakness invites vultures. The moment you expose vulnerability, people begin to measure how much they can take from you, how far they can push, how easily you can be replaced. Humans are drawn to the scent of fragility. It makes them feel stronger, safer, superior. To reveal weakness carelessly is to hand over a map of your softest places. But when used deliberately, weakness can become the most deceptive form of power. Power that hides behind perfection breeds envy and distance. Power that shows controlled imperfection breeds connection and trust. When you choose to expose a flaw, you appear human, approachable, authentic. People lower their guard, thinking they've glimpsed the real you. They relax their suspicion. They start to confess. They overextend sympathy. And that's when you learn everything you need to control them. The difference is choice. Voluntary vulnerability is strategy. Accidental vulnerability is suicide. When you reveal weakness, it must always serve a purpose: to soften resistance, to earn trust, to set a trap. You decide when, where, and how deep to cut yourself, and when others reach in to comfort you, they expose their hands instead. This truth is cruel because it unmasks empathy as a weapon. People believe they are saving you while you are studying them. The powerful cry when it suits them, stumble when it serves them, confess only when it controls the room. Never reveal weakness unless it's bait, because once you do, the hunt begins, and you must be the hunter, not the wounded. A calculated enemy is safer than an emotional ally. A calculated enemy is predictable. An emotional ally is chaos in disguise. The enemy's intentions are clear: self-interest, power, survival. They move logically, reveal patterns, and can be negotiated with. You know where they stand. But an emotional ally, blinded by loyalty or passion, can turn volatile the moment their feelings shift. Love becomes resentment, devotion becomes jealousy, and their unpredictable nature makes them far more dangerous than a declared foe. Emotions cloud reason. An ally who adores you one day may despise you the next if you fail to meet the image they built of you. Their loyalty is tethered to emotion, not understanding, and emotion changes with the weather. The calculated enemy, however, values advantage over sentiment. Their hostility follows rules. They attack when gain outweighs risk. That makes them manageable. You can read them, bargain with them, and even use them. Many fall because they trust warmth more than consistency. They let emotional allies too close, giving them access to secrets, weaknesses, and influence. Then, when envy or disappointment strikes, those same allies turn into saboteurs armed with intimacy. The wound of betrayal cuts deeper than any open attack because it comes wrapped in the memory of affection. This truth burns because it dismantles the illusion of safety in closeness. Passion is unreliable. Calculation is stable. Better an enemy who schemes in daylight than an ally who plots in tears. The wise don't fear those who oppose them. They fear those who feel too deeply, for emotion has no loyalty, only impulse. Never appear desperate. Desperation kills authority. Desperation is the stench of weakness. It signals loss of control, loss of confidence, and worst of all, loss of power. The moment people sense you need something too badly, approval, love, opportunity, forgiveness, they stop respecting you. Desperation invites exploitation. It tells the world you'll settle, beg, or bend. The powerful never chase, they attract. They project calm inevitability as if time itself works in their favor. Desperation is magnetic in the worst way. It draws predators. When you reveal urgency, others delay to increase leverage. When you show hunger, they starve you further to watch your composure crack. The world senses emotional imbalance like blood in the water. Even kindness toward the desperate is laced with superiority. Nobody fears the one who cannot wait. To maintain authority, you must master restraint. Speak as though every offer is one of many, even if it's your only chance. Move slowly when you want to rush. Show detachment when your heart screams for outcome. Stillness under pressure creates mystery, and mystery breeds respect. Power is not about abundance. It's about the illusion that you could walk away from anything, even when you can't. This truth cuts deep because it demands ego control. It teaches you to suffocate your own panic, to weaponize patience, to smile while uncertainty claws at you. Desperation is visible chaos. Composure is silent dominance. Those who can hide need appear limitless. In power, it's never the strongest who win, it's the calmest. Obedience is easiest when people think it's their idea. The strongest chains are the ones people forge for themselves. True control isn't about commanding, it's about guiding minds until they mistake your will for their own. When people believe a choice is theirs, they defend it with pride, obey it with passion, and protect it from question. Manipulation disguised as autonomy is the purest form of power because it eliminates resistance before it ever forms. Humans are allergic to coercion, but addicted to freedom. They rebel when told what to do, yet eagerly follow when they think they're leading. The powerful understand this contradiction and use it as architecture. They plant ideas like seeds through suggestion, emotion, repetition, until the target's mind waters them willingly. By the time the thought blooms, the manipulator no longer needs to push. The victim walks the chosen path thinking it was destiny. The art lies in subtlety. never demand, imply, never order guide. Frame the outcome in such a way that obedience feels like self-expression. Offer options that lead to the same conclusion and let them believe they've chosen wisely. People will sacrifice, fight, and even die for beliefs they think are their own, even if every step was designed by someone else. This truth unsettles because it exposes how easily pride replaces awareness. The best rulers don't command armies, they command perception. They whisper the idea, let ego do the rest, and watch as obedience becomes voluntary devotion. Power that must shout is fragile. Power that persuades in silence is absolute. The best revenge is to make them need you. Revenge that rages is temporary. Revenge that builds dependency is permanent. To make someone need you is to transform their power over you into their own silent prison. Instead of answering betrayal with equal violence, the strategic reply is to become indispensable, emotionally, materially, or socially, so that their life quietly orbits around what only you provide. When they depend on you, their freedom to harm you vanishes, replaced by calculated preservation. This is a slow, corrosive art. You do not demand devotion. You cultivate vacancy where you once stood, then refill it with services, validations, and subtle conveniences they cannot replicate. Offer solutions before they know they need them. Provide status they crave, and hold back the full warmth of your presence until they earn it. Make your absence sting. Make your returns feel like salvation. Each small favor becomes interest on a debt that compounds until they cannot imagine functioning without you. Dependence is the cruelest kind of control because it masks itself as care. They will call it gratitude and explain away their restraint as choice while you watch the leash tighten. The sweetest triumph is watching their confidence erode as they realize the cost of losing you. Anxiety replacing arrogance, hesitation replacing boldness. This method demands patience and ruthless self-regulation. It asks you to feed needs slowly, to avoid generosity that emancipates, and to prize leverage above warmth. Keep your presence calibrated, your favors scarce, and your withdrawal precise so that their world grows fragile around your rhythms. Let necessity be the quiet debt they fear. Become the solution they cannot find elsewhere. Let necessity become the quiet engine of your ascendancy. When cornered, act insane. Unpredictability terrifies. Acting insane when cornered is a calibrated weapon. Unpredictability is not madness, but a strategic fog that paralyzes rational opponents. When people expect a predictable response, they prepare counters. When you fracture that expectation with erratic behavior, loud laughter, sudden nonchalance, wild gestures, or bizarre demands, they hesitate because their mental models break. Humans are pattern machines. Threats are measured by expected payoff. When the payoff becomes unknowable, fear multiplies. This is not about performing a caricature. It is about signaling that the cost of attacking you has become unquantifiable. The cornered animal lashes out or faints in ways that make predators withdraw. So do people. A person who appears unreasonable forces rivals to overthink, seeking safety rather than victory. Unpredictability buys time, creates exit routes, and can convert pursuers into negotiators. It also filters opportunists. Only those with nerve will engage an unstable target. Use this tactic sparingly and with control. Authentic panic reveals weakness. Stage unpredictability reads as menace when executed calmly. The cues must be ambiguous. Smile in the moment of attack. Refuse to play by expected rules, offer odd bargains, or answer threats with absurdity. These moves shift the emotional landscape. Confusion breeds submission faster than force. There is a moral cost. Acting insane can erode trust, alienate allies, and justify harsher reprisals. Reserve it for moments when escape or deterrence matter more than reputation. Mastery lies in balance. Be volatile enough to deter, disciplined enough to exploit the chaos you create. Unpredictability terrifies because it turns certainty into liability, and in the theater of power, uncertainty is the deadliest stage direction, and opportunity remains. Those who talk of morals are often hiding ambition. The louder one preaches morality, the more likely they're disguising hunger. Morality, when shouted, becomes camouflage, a shield to hide motives too sharp to show openly. The self-proclaimed righteous rarely seek virtue. They seek power through virtue's mask. By declaring moral superiority, they claim authority over others without appearing to crave it. The moral crusader demands obedience, not through fear, but through guilt. And guilt is the most efficient leash ever invented. Human beings crave moral validation. They want to feel good, not merely right. The cunning exploit this weakness by weaponizing virtue. They cloak ambition in compassion, greed in justice, domination in the greater good. History's tyrants didn't conquer under banners of hunger. They conquered under banners of righteousness. The wolf that howls about purity does so to distract from the blood on its teeth. Moral talk buys trust faster than truth ever could. People surrender to the one who seems virtuous because morality feels safe. Yet behind the sermon lies strategy. The more one insists on their goodness, the more they're negotiating for control of perception, behavior, and belief. The truly moral don't need to announce it. Their silence speaks louder than performance. This truth stings because it unmasks human hypocrisy. Those who scream about justice often crave the authority to define it. The moral stage is simply a throne dressed in white robes. When someone speaks too often of ethics, watch not their words but their eyes. They are usually measuring power while pretending to measure virtue. Influence the influencer, not the masses. The crowd is loud but blind. The influencer, the one the crowd listens to, holds the true power. The masses follow emotion, not logic. They are a storm without direction until someone gives them one. To waste your energy convincing everyone is to drown in noise. The strategist moves differently. He finds the voice the people already trust and bends that voice to his purpose. One whisper into the right ear can echo louder than 1,000 speeches. People crave leadership because it spares them from thinking. They gather around symbols, faces, and confidence. These figures, politicians, celebrities, community heads, even social alphas, act as amplifiers for belief. Control them, and you control the hive. The art lies in subtlety. Never challenge their authority directly. Flatter their ego, feed their ambition, make them believe your goals are their own. They'll defend your ideas as if they were born from their mind. Influencing influencers is not manipulation, it's leverage. It conserves effort while multiplying effect. You plant one seed and it grows in 1,000 minds, watered by someone else's credibility. Influence through the influential is how revolutions are guided, products are worshipped, and myths become truth. The powerful never chase applause. They engineer it. They know perception flows downward, not upward. The crowd resists the outsider, but worships its chosen leaders. So aim higher. Move the mind that moves the masses. Control the voice they already trust, and you never have to shout again. Silence forces others to fill the void with your advantage. Silence is not emptiness, it's pressure. In a world addicted to noise, silence unsettles people. It pries open their insecurities and forces them to reveal themselves just to escape the discomfort. When you stay silent, others rush to fill the void with words, explanations, and confessions that give you the leverage they never meant to share. The one who speaks least often learns the most. People mistake silence for weakness, when in truth, it is dominance disguised as restraint. It shifts the psychological balance. The talker feels compelled to justify, to convince, to prove. The silent one listens, calculates, observes every emotional tremor. Silence turns the room into a mirror that exposes insecurity. It makes others negotiate against themselves, reveal doubts, and surrender control without realizing it. Used with precision, silence becomes a weapon sharper than accusation. In conversation, it makes your words matter more when you finally choose to speak. In conflict, it starves your opponent of validation. In negotiation, it pressures them to fill the gap with concessions. Silence turns impatience into your ally because people fear what they can't read. This truth unnerves because it reveals how little control most have over their need to be understood. They talk to fill the tension, not realizing that every word is a gift to the listener who waits. Power isn't always about action. Sometimes it's about restraint. When you master silence, you control not only what's said, but what's revealed in the desperation to break it. Always leave room for plausible deniability. Power survives not through truth, but through distance from it. Plausible deniability is the art of shaping events without leaving fingerprints, of orchestrating outcomes while appearing detached. It allows you to command without commanding, to influence without accountability, to manipulate chaos while standing in the calm center, saying, "I had no idea." This is how the powerful remain untouchable, by building a fog around their intentions. Every action in the game of influence must contain an exit route, a way to deny knowledge, intent, or involvement. The mistake of the amateur is directness. They leave trails, messages, witnesses, emotions. The master never writes what can be spoken, never speaks what can be implied, and never implies what can be silently enacted. Every move is layered in ambiguity, so that if it's exposed, it can be explained away. People crave certainty. Give them confusion. When you can plausibly deny, you can act without fear. If a scheme succeeds, take quiet credit. If it fails, shrug and join the outrage. Deniability is more powerful than innocence, because innocence is static, but deniability is designed. This truth feels poisonous because it reveals how integrity bends under ambition. The strongest hands move from the shadows, while others carry the blame. The world rewards results, not honesty. Leave room for doubt in every story you touch, and you will remain blameless even as you pull every string. Control is not about proof. It's about never being provably wrong. Every strength becomes a weakness when overused. What empowers you today can destroy you tomorrow. Every trait, discipline, confidence, kindness, intelligence, contains the seed of its own undoing. When used in balance, strength builds empires. When used without restraint, it turns to poison. Confidence becomes arrogance. Logic becomes paralysis. Compassion becomes vulnerability. Even ruthlessness, left unchecked, isolates until power collapses under its own coldness. The mind craves consistency. It loves to lean on what has worked before, but repetition dulls awareness. You begin to mistake habit for mastery, predictability for power. That's when enemies adapt. What once made you exceptional becomes the very pattern they use against you. The clever thinker overanalyzes and misses timing. The brave leader grows reckless, mistaking momentum for immortality. Strength becomes blindness when it forgets humility. True mastery lies in flexibility, the ability to pivot between extremes, to know when to use fire and when to use shadow, to be fierce, then gentle, calculating, then spontaneous. Power dies when it becomes predictable. The strongest oak falls not because it's weak, but because it cannot bend. This truth humbles the ambitious. It teaches that every gift carries decay, that control requires self-awareness. Your greatest strength is not what you do best. It's knowing when to stop doing it. The wise sharpen their edges, but sheath them often. Balance is not softness, it's survival. Even brilliance, when blinding, burns its own light away. Reputation is armor. Protect it at all costs. Reputation is the invisible fortress that shields power. It walks into rooms before you do, shapes decisions in your absence, and determines whether people yield or resist. Once built, it can command respect, fear, and loyalty without a single word. Once damaged, no force can restore it fully. Reputation is your most valuable weapon and your most fragile. Humans are quick to believe what others believe. Perception spreads faster than proof, and in that echo chamber, reputation becomes truth. If people think you are competent, dangerous, generous, or ruthless, they will behave accordingly, often without testing it. Your reputation manipulates the world for you, quietly rewriting the rules of engagement. You won't need to fight every battle. Your name will fight for you. But reputation is a double-edged blade. Every rumor, every careless moment, every uncontrolled reaction becomes a crack in the armor. The powerful know this and live with surgical discipline. They curate every word, every expression, every silence, understanding that one public misstep can undo years of invisible work. A flawless reputation is not luck, it's design. This truth cuts deep because it shows how survival depends not on who you are, but on who the world thinks you are. Integrity might win hearts, but reputation wins wars. Guard it like your life, because in the game of power, it is your life. When your armor gleams, enemies hesitate. When it cracks, even allies turn away. Reputation doesn't just protect you, it is you. People hate truth but respect it. When wrapped in charm, truth in its raw form is abrasive. It strips away illusions, exposes weaknesses, and leaves the ego bleeding. Most people claim they want honesty, but what they really want is comfort disguised as truth. They reject blunt reality because it threatens the fragile narratives that protect their self-image. Yet when that same truth is delivered with grace, soft tone, warmth, a smile, it transforms from insult to wisdom. The difference isn't in the message, but in the melody. Charm is the sugar that makes truth digestible. It soothes the sting, allowing people to accept correction without humiliation. The charming truth-teller doesn't force reality onto others. They seduce them into seeing it. They mirror emotion, validate pride, and slip honesty between compliments so it lands as insight rather than attack. This is how great leaders, manipulators, and diplomats reshape minds. They don't shout truth, they whisper it beautifully. People hate the mirror that shows their flaws, but adore the one that flatters their reflection. The powerful understand this and use charm to turn honesty into influence. They never expose, they guide. They never condemn, they understand. This emotional cushioning makes truth palatable, even welcome, because it feels less like judgment and more like revelation. This truth is cruel because it means honesty alone isn't enough. Delivery defines acceptance. The world doesn't reject truth. It rejects humiliation. Wrap your truth in elegance. Time it with empathy, and you can make people embrace the very thing they once feared. Charm doesn't distort truth. It disguises its sharp edges long enough to change hearts. Mercy can be a weapon. When timed right, mercy in the hands of the powerful is not kindness, it's strategy. True mercy is not granted freely, it is calculated. It arrives like a storm's calm, unexpected, disarming, unforgettable. When delivered at the right moment, mercy humbles enemies, wins devotion, and strengthens your image far more than cruelty ever could. It turns fear into loyalty, guilt into gratitude, and converts former rivals into indebted allies. People expect vengeance from power. They brace for punishment, not forgiveness. When you offer mercy instead, it confuses them. It rewrites the script. The spared opponent begins to worship the one who held their fate and chose not to destroy them. Mercy given too soon breeds weakness, but mercy given after dominance becomes divine. It transforms you from victor to legend. The power of mercy lies in contrast. It is most potent when it follows ruthlessness. Those who've seen your wrath will never mistake your mercy for softness. They'll know it's a choice, not a limitation. Every ruler who understands this alternates between iron and velvet, crushing resistance, then healing wounds at their own pace. The forgiven never forget who spared them. This truth unsettles because it weaponizes compassion. It exposes that even tenderness can be tactical, that humanity itself can be leveraged for control. Mercy, when timed perfectly, conquers hearts that fear alone cannot reach. It doesn't erase your power, it sanctifies it. The hand that can both destroy and forgive becomes untouchable because people worship what they both fear and need. Hide your ambitions under duty. Ambition is threatening. Duty is noble. The moment you display raw desire, the world sharpens its knives. People fear ambition because it reminds them of their own stagnation. It exposes what they lack the courage to chase. But when you disguise your hunger as responsibility, your climb looks selfless, your rise inevitable. You become untouchable, even admired, while your true motives move unseen beneath the surface. The powerful have always cloaked conquest in service. Kings call it destiny, politicians call it leadership, workers call it loyalty. The language of duty pacifies suspicion. It makes your advancement look like sacrifice, not ambition. While others fight for attention, you accumulate influence quietly. Each act of service, another step up the ladder. By the time they realize you were never serving them, it's too late. You've already risen above them. People forgive power when it looks reluctant. They fear the openly ambitious, but they rally behind the devoted. The secret lies in restraint. Speak of purpose, not personal gain. Act humble while calculating relentlessly. Duty earns you allies, access, and trust, all the ingredients of control, without revealing that your service has always been strategy. This truth unsettles because it exposes how sincerity is often performance. The path to dominance isn't to declare your ambition, it's to hide it behind obedience. Let them believe you serve the cause while you serve your ascent. Ambition in the open provokes enemies. Ambition hidden in duty creates empires. When power shifts, shift with it. Loyalty to a fading power is loyalty to your own downfall. The world moves in tides. Empires rise, leaders fall, alliances fracture, and those who survive are not the strongest, but the most adaptable. When power shifts, cling to the old order, and you'll be dragged down with it. Shift with it, and you remain relevant, protected, even elevated in the new regime. Adaptability isn't betrayal, it's survival disguised as foresight. The wise sense when momentum changes before it's visible. They read silence in the corridors, hesitation in voices, subtle reversals in loyalty. They prepare their exit quietly, aligning themselves with the coming force long before the crowd dares to move. By the time others realize the throne has changed hands, they are already standing beside it. People romanticize loyalty because it sounds noble, but in the realm of power, loyalty is conditional currency. It's honored only while profitable. When the center shifts, unyielding devotion becomes dead weight. The powerful understand that allegiance is fluid. They praise loyalty in others, but practice adaptability themselves. This truth is unsettling because it exposes how easily morality bends under the pressure of consequence. Yet history remembers survivors, not martyrs. When the storm of power changes direction, don't resist the wind. Redirect your sails. Those who adapt shape the next order. Those who cling to the old one become its casualties. Shift with power, and the world will call it wisdom. Resist it, and they'll call it your ruin. Create small crises to appear indispensable. Power often hides best behind chaos, especially the kind you can control. When everything runs smoothly, people forget who keeps it that way. Comfort breeds complacency, and complacency breeds disregard. But when disruption strikes, even a small one, the crowd turns instinctively toward whoever can restore order. By creating minor crises, carefully timed, easily resolved, you remind everyone of your necessity. The rescuer is always valued more than the maintainer. The most effective manipulators don't wait for disaster, they manufacture it. A sudden issue, a temporary gap, a problem only you can fix. all sharpen your perceived worth. The goal isn't destruction, it's dependence. You allow the system to wobble just enough to make your stability irreplaceable. When others panic, your calm becomes divine. When they stumble, your competence feels heroic. Gratitude replaces doubt. Fear of losing you replaces complaints about you. People rarely appreciate invisible effort. They must feel the absence of order to recognize who provides it. A small crisis forces that recognition. The key is precision. Too little, and no one notices. Too much, and you risk collapse. Done correctly, you become the anchor in the storm you quietly created. This truth is dark because it exposes the performative nature of leadership. It reveals that sometimes you must wound the system to heal your status within it. In power, perception of necessity matters more than genuine stability. So, when things grow too quiet, stir the waters. Let them remember who keeps them from drowning. Betray once to be feared, not twice to be hated. Betrayal is a surgical tool, not a hobby. A single, well-calculated betrayal announces your limits and sets the price of crossing them. Repeated treachery reveals cruelty and invites collective vengeance. People forgive a lone, brutal act because it reads as decisive, an assertion of boundaries that others can respect or fear. They rarely forgive a pattern because patterns expose intention, cruelty, and a willingness to prey without restraint. To betray effectively is to make it meaningful, precise, necessary, and final, so that fear replaces fury and caution replaces revolt. The psychology is mercilessly clear. Humans crave predictability. One sharp deviation rewires expectations and forces recalibration. They learn, this person will cut when needed, and cutting hurts, so avoid being in the blade's path. But betray repeatedly, and you transform into a monster whose actions are no longer strategy, but character. Colleagues unite not from principle, but from survival instinct. Social networks repair themselves around shared enemies. A serial betrayer becomes the common threat that demands collective action. Tactically, the first betrayal should be staged with plausibility and plausible deniability. Blame circumstance, highlight necessity, and make the act feel like the only stubborn answer to a problem. Let the fallout land on logic, not malice. Afterward, reward compliance and stabilize ties you intended to keep. Never let your pattern be traced back to appetite. The cost of misjudging this is total isolation. Enemies multiplied, allies hardened, and retaliation made righteous. This law is bitter because it asks you to treat human hearts like chess pieces, sacrificing trust once to secure control, but never so often that people stop playing by your terms. People mistake confidence for competence. Exploit that. Human beings are drawn to certainty like moths to flame. They don't crave truth, they crave assurance. When someone speaks with absolute confidence, the mind relaxes, doubt fades, logic quiets, and belief takes over. People rarely have the patience or courage to question conviction. They assume that confidence must come from knowledge, that composure means mastery. This is why the world follows performers more than thinkers. The bold tone, the steady eye contact, the calm voice under pressure, these are signals that trigger ancient instincts of trust and safety. A confident liar is trusted more than a hesitant genius because emotion persuades faster than evidence. The illusion of certainty is enough to command loyalty, attract opportunity, and silence opposition. Most people don't check if you can deliver. They're already convinced you will. The powerful understand this bias and wield it deliberately. They rehearse control until it looks effortless, using tone and timing as weapons. Even in uncertainty, they project stability, creating an aura that others orbit around. Confidence creates gravity. Competence only sustains it later. The masses want to believe someone knows the way, and the one who sounds like they do becomes the guide. This truth is unsettling because it rewards illusion over substance. But power has never belonged to the most skilled. It belongs to the most convincing. Learn to speak with certainty even in doubt, to move with purpose even in confusion. While others prove themselves, you will already be obeyed. Use conflict to expose character. Peace is a mask. Conflict rips it away. When everything is calm, people can pretend. Kindness, loyalty, composure, humility. But pressure burns through performance. Conflict reveals who someone truly is when there's something to lose or defend. It exposes values, priorities, fears, and alliances far more clearly than words ever could. To truly know someone, you must watch them under fire. The powerful understand that harmony teaches nothing. They provoke, test, and observe. A calculated argument, a denied favor, a small humiliation. Each becomes a mirror reflecting the truth beneath a person's charm. Does pride override loyalty? Does fear kill courage? Does envy poison reason? Conflict strips away the script and shows the raw machinery of the soul. Most people spend their lives hiding behind politeness, terrified of disapproval. But tension forces authenticity. The one who smiles through betrayal, who reasons instead of rages, who listens instead of lashes out, that is the one worth keeping close. Everyone else exposes their weakness in their reaction. This truth is ruthless because it demands that you weaponize discomfort. But conflict isn't chaos, it's revelation. The wise do not seek constant peace. They use disruption as diagnosis. Stir the waters just enough to see what floats and what sinks. In the theater of human nature, conflict is the light that burns off illusion. When peace returns, you'll know exactly who stands beside you and who was only there while it was easy. Never beg, make others offer. Begging is the language of the powerless. The moment you plead, you surrender status, leverage, and respect. People instinctively look down on those who ask from weakness. They sense need as blood in the water. Influence demands the opposite posture. Quiet certainty that what you desire will come to you because others want to give it. The powerful never chase. They create gravity. To make others offer, you must master the art of suggestion. Plant the idea subtly. Frame your needs as opportunities for them, and let silence pressure them into filling it. Humans cannot resist the pull of autonomy. They must feel that giving is their decision. Begging removes their illusion of control. Suggestion feeds it. Let them think they initiated the offer, and they'll defend it as their own idea. The psychology is ancient. People value what they choose more than what they're asked for. When you act as though you expect generosity, doors open. When you ask desperately, they close. The difference lies in self-perception. Confidence projects worth, and worth magnetizes cooperation. You must appear as the prize, not the petitioner. This truth stings because it exposes how dignity shapes influence. The world doesn't reward need, it rewards allure. Never lower yourself to pleading. It teaches others how little they must give to control you. Remain composed, patient, and valuable. The powerful understand that silence is negotiation and presence is persuasion. Those who beg may receive crumbs, but those who inspire the offer feast. A calm tone in chaos unnerves rivals. In chaos, most people seek control through noise, raised voices, frantic motion, desperate attempts to be seen as in charge. But true authority doesn't shout. It whispers while the world burns. A calm tone in chaos is terrifying because it signals something others lack: clarity, composure, and the unsettling confidence of someone who has already accepted the worst and is still unmoved. Panic is contagious, but so is poise. When you remain still while others unravel, your calm becomes their mirror, and they see their weakness reflected back. Silence during turmoil isn't passivity, it's dominance through contrast. Rivals mistake calmness for indifference until they realize it's control. Your steady voice in a storm forces them to question what you know, what you've planned, what you're waiting for. Fear feeds on uncertainty, and nothing creates more uncertainty than a person who refuses to panic when everyone else does. Calmness implies knowledge, and knowledge implies power. In leadership, negotiations, or confrontation, the quiet one always owns the rhythm. The louder they grow, the more foolish they appear next to your stillness. You make them overexpose emotion, reveal insecurity, and betray strategy. The battlefield of power isn't just fought with strength, it's fought with composure. This truth is unnerving because it strips chaos of its usual order. The most dangerous figure isn't the one screaming for control, but the one who watches quietly while everyone else loses theirs. In the noise of confusion, calmness is the deadliest sound of all. Exploit people's need for validation. People ache to be seen, heard, and approved. That ache is a lever. Validation is emotional currency. Praise reduces anxiety, recognition mends insecurity, and approval promises belonging. When you offer it, you become the source of comfort. When you withhold it, you hold the keys to someone's self-worth. This makes validation an extraordinarily effective tool for influence. Give it precisely, and they will bend toward you. Deny it subtly, and they will scramble for your favor. Understanding this starts with noticing how people perform themselves for applause. They reveal what they value through stories, achievements, and what they anxiously explain. Echo those priorities back to them, not with emptiness, but with crafted affirmation that amplifies their best self. Make them feel seen at the moment they fear invisibility. Watch how gratitude warps into loyalty, how compliments become obligations, how being the mirror of someone's worth turns them into your defender. Use validation strategically. Reward desired behavior publicly to create social proof. Praise privately to create indebtedness. Compliment competence to make them maintain it. Flatter vulnerability to deepen dependence. Never overdo it. Excess praise cheapens. Scarcity magnifies value. Timing is everything. Uplift after a failure, and you become their salvation. Validate before a request, and they'll agree to protect that feeling. This technique is seductive because it feels kind while it binds. The person who holds another's need for validation wields quiet authority, and often the validated never realize how willingly they're shaping themselves to keep the supply flowing. The illusion of choice is control perfected. The surest way to control someone is to make them believe they're free. Absolute power doesn't come from domination. It comes from orchestration. When people think they're choosing, they stop resisting. They defend the system that manipulates them, mistaking obedience for autonomy. The illusion of choice is the most elegant form of control because it makes submission feel like freedom. Humans crave agency. They need to believe they direct their fate. Strip that belief away, and they rebel. Preserve it, even falsely, and they'll enslave themselves with gratitude. The powerful exploit this by creating controlled options, two paths that lead to the same destination, two answers that serve the same goal. The structure feels democratic, the result inevitable. It's manipulation disguised as empowerment. Every system, political, corporate, personal, thrives on this illusion. Leaders offer choices that change nothing. Marketers sell individuality in uniform products. Even relationships trade in the same illusion. You can leave whenever you want, says the one who's already made you too invested to go. The trick is not to remove freedom, but to guide it quietly. This truth is haunting because it reveals how easily control hides inside comfort. People rarely question systems that let them choose their cage. They'll fight for their illusion, defend their captor, and mock anyone who sees the strings. The master doesn't shout commands, he whispers options. And when both roads lead where he wants, control becomes invisible, complete, and voluntary. Turn rivals against each other. Unity is your enemy. Power is not seized through strength alone, it is preserved through division. A united opposition is a wall. Divided, it becomes a doorway. The moment your rivals turn their energy toward each other, they stop aiming at you. Conflict is oxygen for control. Feed it carefully, invisibly, and it will consume those who might have overpowered you together. The wise never attack directly when they can instead make others clash for them. Human ego is the easiest fault line to exploit. Every alliance hides envy, resentment, or insecurity. Whisper comparisons, plant subtle doubts, or praise one in front of the other. Rivalry grows fastest when it feels self-born. Once the seed of suspicion takes root, pride waters it. People destroy themselves to prove they were never second. The art lies in subtlety. Open manipulation exposes you. Invisible influence binds them. A gentle nudge, a misplaced compliment, a rumor delivered as concern, all small sparks that ignite divisions no sword could cut through. Soon, they will question motives, hoard credit, and sabotage one another while believing they act in self-defense. Unity is the natural enemy of the ambitious, for it breeds resistance. Division, however, breeds dependency on you, the mediator, the calm center in their storm. You become the only trusted voice amid chaos. This truth is cold but eternal. The strongest empires fall not from invasion, but from internal fractures. Power doesn't always destroy enemies. It convinces them to destroy each other. Influence through gratitude, not guilt. Guilt chains people temporarily. Gratitude binds them deeply. When you manipulate through guilt, you control behavior for a moment. When you inspire gratitude, you control loyalty for a lifetime. Guilt creates resistance, a quiet desire to escape the weight of obligation. Gratitude, on the other hand, wraps that same obligation in warmth. It makes people want to repay you. They tell themselves they're acting freely, not under pressure, and that illusion makes your hold unbreakable. The psychology is simple but powerful. Guilt triggers shame and resentment. Gratitude triggers pride. The guilty obey to erase discomfort, but once forgiven, they forget you. The grateful serve to preserve harmony, to maintain the feeling of goodness you gave them. They'll protect your image, defend your actions, and justify your flaws because they believe they owe you something beautiful. By giving people something they didn't expect, help, protection, opportunity, you create an emotional debt they rush to repay, often with loyalty stronger than logic. Those who lead with guilt breed submission, but never love. Their followers comply, but secretly plot freedom. Those who lead with gratitude breed devotion. They create allies who volunteer their obedience. Gratitude disguises control as affection, making influence feel like choice. This truth unsettles because it exposes the elegance of emotional power. The most effective manipulation doesn't demand, it inspires. Gratitude is the golden leash no one sees, the one people wear proudly. Make them thankful, not fearful, and they will guard your interests as if they were their own. Let others do your dirty work, but reward them. Every great strategist learns that power expands fastest through other people's hands. The most efficient way to maintain control is not to act directly, but to orchestrate quietly, letting others execute what you cannot be seen doing. Dirty work, acts that invite criticism, risk, or resentment, should never stain your image. Assign it to those who crave approval or advancement. They'll rationalize it as duty while you remain untarnished. This tactic works because most people want to prove their usefulness. They long for recognition from authority. So when you hint that a difficult task requires their unique strength, they feel chosen, not used. Delegation becomes seduction. You maintain moral distance while still reaping the results. The damage, if it comes, lands on them. The success, if it arrives, reflects back on you. But cruelty without calculation breeds revolt. Those who do your bidding must feel valued, not expendable. After the deed is done, reward them. Publicly with praise, privately with small privileges. Make them feel indispensable to your plans, and they will carry even darker burdens for you later. Gratitude is the leash that keeps accomplices loyal. This truth unsettles because it exposes the machinery behind leadership. The most feared figures in history understood it. To preserve your purity, someone else must bear the blood. The art lies not in exploitation, but in balance. Let others commit the act, then shield them with selective generosity. They'll call it loyalty. You'll know it's management. Be seen as useful to everyone, loyal to no one. Power thrives on perception, not allegiance. When you are seen as useful, doors open. When you are seen as loyal, cages close. The world rewards utility but exploits devotion. To survive among predators, you must become indispensable to all, yet owned by none. Everyone should believe they benefit from your presence, but no one should believe they possess you. People trust usefulness more than loyalty. Loyalty threatens others. It binds you to one side and paints a target on your back. But usefulness, it's neutral, flexible, and seductive. The powerful keep those who serve their interests, not those who swear allegiance. When you are useful, you are tolerated in every circle, welcomed in every room, protected by every faction. The art lies in balance. Give just enough to each side to remain valuable, but never enough to be trapped. Be the connector, the problem solver, the quiet asset everyone believes they can rely on, but reveal nothing of your true intentions. Let them compete for your favor, not your faith. This truth is cold because it dismantles the romantic illusion of loyalty. Loyalty demands sacrifice. Usefulness earns survival. The loyal die for causes that forget them. The useful endure because no one wants to lose them. Appear helpful to everyone, belong to no one. The moment you are owned, you are disposable. But as long as you are useful, you are untouchable. The higher you climb, the fewer rules apply. Rules exist to control the many, not the few. They are fences built by the powerful to keep order below while leaving the gates open at the top. The higher you climb, the more those fences shrink beneath you. Success buys leniency. Authority grants exemption. The system bends for those who rise above it because rules are only as strong as the power enforcing them, and power rarely punishes itself. At the bottom, every misstep is judged, every failure magnified. Obedience is demanded because control is needed. But as you ascend, perception replaces accountability. Your competence becomes legend, your word becomes truth, and those who once demanded explanations now seek your approval. The same actions that would destroy a lesser person are rebranded as boldness, innovation, or genius. The powerful are not beyond morality, they define it. This truth unsettles because it strips away the illusion of fairness. The world does not reward virtue, it rewards victory. The moment you reach the summit, the rules shift from chains into tools. You learn which ones can be ignored, which can be rewritten, and which can be weaponized against those still climbing. The powerful don't break rules, they redesign them in their image. Understanding this truth isn't corruption, it's awareness. Those who believe the rules are sacred remain forever ruled by them. Those who see them as flexible rise faster. The higher you climb, the fewer rules apply, not because they vanish, but because you become the one who decides which ones matter. Forgive strategically, never emotionally. Forgiveness is not a moral act, it's a weapon of control when used correctly. Emotional forgiveness is surrender. It releases the offender and diminishes your leverage. Strategic forgiveness, however, is domination disguised as grace. It allows you to dictate when peace returns and on whose terms. When you forgive with calculation, you don't release power, you reclaim it. You decide the moment your mercy becomes their dependence. People expect forgiveness to come from compassion. When it comes from control, it confuses them. They expect punishment and instead receive calm acceptance, which unsettles them more. By forgiving deliberately, you make them question your strength, their guilt, and your motives all at once. This imbalance keeps them cautious. They begin to police themselves in fear of losing your approval again. That is how strategic forgiveness works. It turns your enemy into their own jailer. Forgiveness used emotionally closes a wound. Forgiveness used strategically keeps it visible, a reminder of who holds the power to heal. You forgive not to forget, but to remind. You let them return to comfort, but never to equality. They walk lighter, thinking they're free, while you've already rewritten the terms of the relationship. This truth is cold because it strips the sentimentality from mercy. It teaches that forgiveness should never be given in the heat of emotion, but in the clarity of opportunity. The heart forgives to move on. The strategist forgives to move pieces. Mercy, when timed and targeted, is not weakness. It's silent authority wrapped in kindness. People trust stories more than logic. Tell the right ones. Logic convinces the mind, but stories capture the soul. Humans are not rational creatures. They are emotional ones who use logic to justify what they already feel. Facts inform, stories transform. A well-told story can make lies sound noble, manipulation feel righteous, and ambition seem like destiny. The masses don't follow truth. They follow the narrative that makes them feel alive, seen, and certain. From the dawn of civilization, stories have ruled empires, religions, nations, revolutions, all built on narratives, not evidence. A good story doesn't have to be real. It only has to be believable. It simplifies chaos into meaning, turns pain into purpose, and divides the world into heroes and villains. People crave that order. They will defend a story long after the logic behind it has collapsed. The powerful understand this and craft their myths deliberately. They never argue with data. They speak in visions. They make others feel truth rather than prove it. Tell people what their hearts already whisper, but their minds can't articulate. Wrap your intentions in emotion, and reason becomes irrelevant. This truth unsettles because it exposes how influence bypasses intellect. The one who controls the narrative controls belief, and belief controls behavior. If you wish to lead, don't waste words on explanation. Tell a story so vivid that logic feels lifeless beside it. People don't follow the best argument. They follow the best story. Make power look effortless. True power never sweats. The moment people see the strain behind your control, they begin to question your strength. Power that looks labored loses its mystique. It reminds others that dominance requires effort, and effort implies vulnerability. The most dangerous leaders, manipulators, and conquerors move as if the world simply bends to them, not because they force it, but because it naturally should. Effortless power is illusion perfected. Behind it lies discipline, strategy, and constant vigilance, but none of that must ever show. Every decision must appear spontaneous, every victory inevitable. Let others believe your success flows from talent, destiny, or divine favor. The less they perceive the machinery behind your rise, the more they'll worship the myth of your ease. The secret is to conceal the work while displaying the grace. Humans are drawn to what seems unattainable. They confuse calmness for mastery, stillness for superiority. When you look unshaken under pressure, they project strength onto you, even when you're calculating furiously beneath the surface. The illusion of effortlessness commands admiration, envy, and trust all at once. It makes people want to follow, not because they're forced, but because they believe you belong above them. This truth is powerful because it exposes how perception shapes hierarchy. Struggle invites pity, but composure breeds awe. Never reveal the sweat beneath your crown. Let the world see only the shine. When your power looks effortless, it ceases to be questioned. Those who bleed quietly rule eternally over those who shout their struggle. Keep your real power hidden behind visible weakness. Power that flaunts itself invites resistance. Power that conceals itself invites control. The greatest influence is exercised not through dominance, but through disguise. By appearing harmless, uncertain, or underestimated, you gain the freedom to observe, maneuver, and strike without detection. Visible weakness disarms suspicion. It makes others careless, talkative, and generous with what they would guard against a visible threat. When you hide your true strength, you turn perception into camouflage. People lower their defenses around those they think they can command. They reveal their strategies, expose their ambitions, and offer unsolicited help, all while believing they're superior. In that delusion lies your advantage. When the moment comes to reveal your strength, it shocks them into paralysis. The element of surprise amplifies your impact tenfold because no one prepares for what they don't see coming. The powerful often lose power by showing too much of it. Open strength provokes envy and rebellion. Hidden strength breeds opportunity. Let others occupy the spotlight while you control the stagehands and the script. Feign vulnerability when it buys time, ignorance when it invites confession, and humility when it grants access. This truth is merciless because it turns modesty into strategy. The meek appearance becomes armor. The underestimated position becomes the throne. Real power doesn't roar, it whispers. Those who appear weak are often the architects of the strong. When others look down on you, let them. It gives you the perfect angle to strike upward. Always smile when plotting. The most dangerous intentions are the ones hidden behind warmth. A smile disarms where suspicion would otherwise grow. It turns cunning into charm, malice into mystery. When you smile while plotting, you rewrite how people read you. They see calmness, not calculation, friendliness, not focus. The smile becomes your armor, a mask so convincing that even those who sense danger hesitate to believe it. People trust what comforts them, and nothing comforts faster than a smile. A true strategist understands that power depends on concealment. The face must never betray the mind. Anger, ambition, and resentment invite resistance. Pleasantness invites access. With a smile, you can infiltrate rooms that a frown would bar. You can deliver threats wrapped in silk, commands disguised as compliments. A smile turns manipulation into art. It makes others lower their guard, open their hearts, and offer you their secrets while thinking they're safe. Psychologically, a smile triggers the human instinct to mirror emotions. When you stay composed and kind-eyed, even those who should be wary begin to reflect your calm. They interpret your presence as security, and in that comfort, they expose their vulnerabilities, exactly what you need. This truth is seductive because it weaponizes humanity's gentlest gesture. It teaches that deception need not look dark to be deadly. A smile can conceal an empire of schemes. The greatest manipulators don't scowl or snarl. They grin softly as they move the pieces. When your smile becomes your mask, no one will see the knife until it's already drawn. Predict others' motives by their fears. Every decision a person makes is a negotiation with fear. Fear is the engine behind desire, ambition, loyalty, and betrayal. To understand someone's true motive, don't listen to what they say they want. Discover what they're desperate to avoid. People lie about their dreams, but their fears tell the truth. When you know what someone fears losing, you hold the map to their behavior. Fear shapes character more honestly than love or reason ever could. The brave don't lack fear, they've learned to mask it. The coward doesn't admit it. They disguise it as caution, morality, or humility. Even the powerful act from fear, fear of irrelevance, of humiliation, of exposure. Strip away the mask, and every action reveals itself as protection from some private terror. The skilled manipulator listens not for words, but for tremors, hesitations, overreactions, nervous laughter, defensiveness. Each is a breadcrumb leading back to fear. Once you find it, control becomes effortless. Offer safety, and they'll follow you. Threaten it, and they'll obey you. Fear is the key that unlocks loyalty, surrender, or defiance. This truth disturbs because it unveils how fragile strength really is. People are not driven by logic. They're driven by the ghosts that haunt them. You don't need to force someone when you can predict their panic. Power doesn't always conquer. Sometimes it simply understands. To rule someone, don't study their dreams, study their fears. They'll lead you straight to the lever that moves their soul. Reward obedience publicly. Punish rebellion privately. Power endures through balance. Fear must command respect, but never poison it. Public reward breeds loyalty. Public punishment breeds revolt. The wise ruler understands that people crave recognition more than fairness. When obedience is celebrated in front of others, it transforms compliance into pride. The crowd sees loyalty rewarded and begins to mimic it, not from fear, but from desire for the same approval. Praise is cheaper than control, yet far more effective. Rebellion, however, must be crushed, but in silence. To punish openly is to risk creating martyrs. The moment the crowd witnesses defiance punished, they don't remember the lesson. They remember the courage of the rebel. That memory festers, grows, and one day becomes an uprising. But when punishment happens behind closed doors, rebellion disappears like a rumor. Fear spreads, but without a hero to rally behind. Public reward creates order. Private punishment maintains it. One inspires imitation, the other enforces obedience. The powerful use this duality to shape behavior, like sculptors shaping clay, gently in the light, brutally in the dark. People should never fear you openly. They should fear what happens when you stop smiling. This truth feels ruthless because it exposes the cold choreography of control. The appearance of kindness wins hearts, while unseen consequences secure compliance. Rule with applause and silence, not anger and spectacle. Let obedience echo in public halls, and let rebellion vanish without a sound. Never show your full strength until it's too late. Revealing your full power too early kills its impact. Once people see the extent of your ability, they begin to prepare for it, defend against it, and plot its downfall. Power thrives in mystery. It multiplies in the shadows, gathering momentum until the moment it's unleashed. When you strike, it must feel inevitable, unstoppable, and utterly unexpected. The true art of dominance lies in restraint, letting them think they've measured you, when in truth, they've only seen a fraction. Humans fear the unknown more than the strong. The hint of hidden potential unsettles them more than open might ever could. When your power is visible, it can be challenged. When it's uncertain, it can only be imagined. And imagination breeds terror. Appear modest, patient, and predictable while you quietly expand your influence. Every time you hold back, you build tension. Every act of subtlety becomes part of the trap. The moment you reveal everything should not be a display. It should be a conclusion. By then, resistance is too weak, allies too committed, and opponents too blind to react. Strike when exposure no longer matters. When your strength doesn't shock, it overwhelms. This truth cuts deep because it demands discipline over ego. The strong crave recognition, but the wise crave results. Let them underestimate you. Let them relax in the illusion of control. And when the time comes, reveal your power not as a performance, but as a verdict. By the time they realize your strength, it should already be their undoing. Make others compete for your approval. Power is amplified when people seek it rather than when it's imposed. The one who can make others chase their approval holds dominion without command. Human beings are addicted to validation. It's the currency of self-worth. When you make your attention scarce and your praise unpredictable, you turn others into contestants, fighting for something they can't quite define. They begin to measure their value by your reaction, and soon they no longer act for themselves, they act for you. This is not cruelty, it's design. The moment you become the standard by which others judge their success, you no longer need to demand obedience. It's offered freely. You create an invisible hierarchy, one where your approval feels like oxygen. Withhold it and they suffocate. Give it and they soar, temporarily. The uncertainty keeps them loyal, restless, and eager to please. Even rivals start mirroring your preferences just to gain a fraction of your acknowledgement. Psychologically, this works because competition intensifies emotion. When people compete for affection or recognition, they justify any behavior that might earn it. They overperform, overpromise, and overlook manipulation. Their pride becomes your tool, their ambition your leash. And the beauty of it all is subtlety. They must never realize they're playing a game you designed. This truth is intoxicating because it reveals how desire replaces discipline. Control isn't about domination, it's about direction. Make people crave your approval, and they'll chain themselves to your opinion. They'll fight each other to serve you, while you stand silent, smiling, and untouchable above the chaos you quietly created. Create chaos, then offer order. Power is born from disorder. When people feel lost, frightened, or uncertain, they will beg for structure, and the one who offers it becomes their savior. Chaos weakens resistance, dissolves clarity, and turns strong minds into desperate ones. By creating confusion, you strip others of control. By restoring order, you make them grateful for your dominance. This is not cruelty, it's architecture. You build the storm so that peace wears your name. Humans cannot stand instability. They crave direction, even from those who cause their suffering. History repeats this pattern endlessly. Leaders manufacture crises only to present themselves as the solution. Corporations create needs, then sell fulfillment. Manipulators sow tension, then heal it with affection. It's the oldest trick in power. Break their balance, then offer your hand to steady them. The brilliance of this tactic lies in timing. Too much chaos breeds rebellion. Just enough breeds dependence. You must know when to stop destroying and start saving. When fear peaks, introduce calm. When confusion spreads, speak with clarity. People will see you not as the architect of their pain, but as the answer to it. This truth is dark because it exposes the machinery behind control. Order feels divine when born from despair, and gratitude blinds memory. Those who master both storm and stillness can rewrite loyalty itself. To rule, you don't need to protect people. You need to destabilize them just enough that your control feels like safety. Befriend information. It never betrays. Information is the purest ally, silent, loyal, and immune to emotion. People lie, feelings shift, loyalties fade, but information remains constant, waiting to be used by whoever holds it. In the war for power, knowledge is both weapon and armor. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast, but it decides who wins long before the battle begins. The one who knows moves first, strikes smarter, and never fights blind. Most people chase approval or money. The powerful chase insight. They study patterns, listen more than they speak, and collect details others dismiss. Every secret whispered in confidence, every expression that flickers before a lie, every unguarded word in a crowd, each becomes ammunition. The fool seeks validation in being known. The strategist finds power in knowing others. Information doesn't betray because it doesn't choose sides. It simply waits. Its value lies in timing. Used too soon, it's noise. Used at the right moment, it's domination. The powerful store it like gold, trading it when advantage demands, and silence serves no further purpose. Those who control information don't need to shout commands. They pull strings invisibly. This truth is unsettling because it strips trust of its illusion. People betray from fear, greed, or pride, but information never does. It's the quiet companion that turns observation into leverage and memory into control. Befriend it, protect it, and feed it constantly. In a world built on deception, the one who knows the most never needs to threaten. Their knowledge already rules. Destroy completely or don't strike at all. Half measures linger like poison. An unfinished blow becomes the seed of your own downfall. When you attack, do so with the intent and precision that ends the threat, not merely wounds it. A wounded rival survives to learn, adapt, and return with a grudge that will cost you more than the original danger ever did. Leaving a rival bleeding teaches them lessons you'll regret. Finishing them teaches everyone else a lesson in consequence. Violence of position, whether reputational, political, or professional, must be surgical, or it will be the wound that heals into an enemy. This principle is not bloodlust. It is strategic hygiene. The world remembers mercy when it's rare and revenge when it's slow. Half defeats fester into coalitions against you, whispered conspiracies, and the slow erosion of authority. The decisive strike ends uncertainty. It robs opponents of hope, rewires alliances, and recalibrates fear into obedience. Those who hesitate are haunted by their indecision. Those who commit fully are feared, and fear stabilizes power in ways charm never will. Acting decisively requires cold calculus, timing, resources, and the moral costs you're willing to bear. Execution must be clean enough that the narrative cannot be salvaged into martyrdom, public enough that others see consequence, and discreet enough to avoid self-destruction. Half-hearted aggression is worse than inaction because it creates scars that can be exploited. Destroy completely, or do not strike. Let your moves be judgments, not tantrums, and let silence follow the finality of your action so that no unfinished chapter can turn into tomorrow's rebellion.